You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio.
Olin, Buchanan.
Holy smokes, he made that catch. And I was like, we're going to go win this freaking game.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, good morning, Aggie Land. It is Tuesday, November 21st, here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers. And if you're thinking, well, that's not the smooth, buttery voice of David Nuño, you would be correct. He's a little late. He'll be here shortly. I'm Nick Savage, director of TexAgs Radio, whatnot. Over at the desk, that's not right. Need that to go away. I'm multitasking here, so bear with me. But over at the desk, of course, we have OB. Good morning, OB.
Yeah, David may be late, but it's not his fault. I was supposed to pick him up for work because he had some car repairs, and I forgot.
It happens. It's
it
okay.
doesn't happen to me. It shouldn't happen. I'm getting forgetful in my old age, and I really am. I remember I'm the guy that left his laptop in College Station when I went to play or went to cover the Ole Miss game, which is kind of like being a firefighter and going to the fire and forgetting the hose. So I have to. I can't ever make fun of anybody ever again. I have to take responsibility for this and start wondering if there's some kind of onset of some kind of maladies that's stricken the elderly.
I don't think that's the case.
I keep forgetting stuff.
I forget stuff all the time too. It's not. It just happens.
I'm very troubled by this because I've always been the most. I've always been and prided myself on being reliable, dependable, and to keep fumbling the ball like I have been lately is, that's worrisome. But I know David's on his way.
Oh yeah, he'll be here any minute.
No help from me.
He said approximately 8:04 a.m. arrival. It is 8:03, so we'll see how on it he is. But
he ought to come in and punch me.
He won't do that.
I know he won't, but he ought to. Well, he might. It is David.
He always likes to talk about, and maybe this is his opportunity to put someone in a headlock and arm bar
the
or something.
The guillotine hold.
Yeah, OB, if there's one good thing that'll come out of this, at least you'll be able to forget all your bad picks from Gambling Geezers.
Believe me, they're forgotten. But gosh, that's here I am being critical of Jimbo Fisher and the job he did, and it's like he never forgot his quarterback though.
Well,
he never forgot to bring his quarterback to the game.
Yeah. Well, Luke Evangelist is over at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. He spoke already. So, Luke, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Nick. I've got a couple things for you. A&M women's basketball just defeated Houston Christian 80
we're getting a whole news report right off the jump. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it. Keep going.
What else am I here for other than a good little news report?
Very true.
The score of that game was 80-35. OB, do you think winning by 55 is impressive, or should Joni Taylor's job be on the hot seat?
No, her job's not on the hot seat. In fact, quite the opposite. What are they, about 3-1, 4-1 now?
3-1.
David's showing up. No thanks to me.
There he is. We'll talk to Joni Taylor later.
I owe David 1,000 apologies. And you know what? If I give him 1,000 apologies, I owe him 1,001. That is. There are certain words that are politically incorrect that you can't say anymore that would talk about how mentally challenged you might be, and they all apply to me right now. And maybe not just right now. Again, I was the guy that left his laptop in College Station. I didn't realize it until I was at the airport.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Hey, Olin.
Hey, Dave.
How are you, sir?
Very forgetful. That's how I am.
Hey, honestly, it's kind of funny. It makes it for show content.
The thing, and then to make it worse, so I called my wife, Irma, I said, hey, I want you to go over to pick up David and bring him to work because I forgot. But she was vacuuming, and she couldn't hear her phone.
It's all good. You know who picked me up?
Who?
Dan76, big fan of the show.
Way to go, Dan.
Dan is awesome.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm not going to lie. It was a little creepy having somebody know where I live now, but it's all good because Dan and I see him at the gym all the time. He was the Uber driver. Yeah, he's great. He texts the show all the time.
Did y'all talk about, lifting and stuff like that?
We didn't talk about that. We talked about, why he moved to College Station in 1999, his family, his thoughts on the whole Jimbo thing.
Yeah.
It was nice. So at 7:34, I realized, I think Olin forgot. And Cruz came out because he was lifting weights, and he's like, what are you going to do, Dad? Are you going to get fired if you get the show? I was like, nah, it'll be fun.
Olin is.
No. And then I was like, I'm not going to text. I'm going to wait till 7:40. And I think at 7:36 is when you called me.
Was it 7:36?
Somewhere in that ballpark.
I drove up.
Maybe 7:34. Maybe I got the time
Have you ever started your morning and doing things and you have this really odd feeling that you've forgotten something? And I had that. And I drove up and I said, wait, David's car is not. Oh, God.
Well, so this actually happened to me last week. I do a hit on Candy 95 today. I'll probably forget again on Wednesdays. And I was driving to Candy 95 on the way there. And to get there, it's different than how I'd go to my house. And I drove right in front of it, and I was on a phone call, and I just kept on going. And then I got home, and they called me like, hey, are you about to get here? The hit's about to go on. And I'm like, oh, S word. And I had to rush back. So it happens. It's all good.
Yeah, I said a lot of words.
I did. I heard you say words. So you accidentally called me as the Uber was coming to pick me up, and I heard a word that might sound familiar with Fargo's, the same letter, and Nick in the background laughing, and you just mother loving.
I'm upset with myself.
It's all good.
I'm concerned.
It's all fun, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to Dan76 for picking me up. All right. I had a thought of how I wanted to get into the first segment, okay? I don't care how we got here. But A&M traveling, did you already touch this?
No.
Okay.
No, we just talked about your traveling.
A&M traveling on a Friday, and I know we're going to listen to Elijah here in a moment on the why behind it, but I don't really care about the why, all right? To me, it's progress however you get there, right? However you get there, there's progress by leaving on a Friday, and they had their reasons. We'll listen to the why behind it. But when you lose 9 straight games on the road, you cannot keep with the same plan. And I do this sometimes when I Google things, right? So I Google, what do you do when you keep making mistakes at work, OB? All right, and I'm going to give you the 4 steps that popped up, right?
Okay.
Thanks to our friends at Mr. Google. Investigate your mistake. Well, losing on the road, to me, sounds like what they do.
All right.
Create an action plan. Identify the mistakes. What are you going to do differently? This is part of step 2. To avoid the mistakes that could include a new process, coaching, or additional oversight. Oh, okay. So as you're thinking about all the reasons that you lose on the road, and I am not saying they've lost on the road because they travel on Thursdays. I'm saying sometimes you got to re-investigate, figure out what's different. So there's that. Seek out constructive feedback. Oh, did you listen to Anaya Smith at the presser yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Ask for help where needed. Don't you think the people that are involved in the task ahead, I don't think you need to go to your players for everything, but I'm sure there's a handful of players that are leaders that you can go to and be like, yo, this isn't working. What do you think? And I think X, Y, and Z. So because they're going to travel Friday this week, and again, we'll hear the reasons for it, I don't think it necessarily makes them better against LSU. What I do think happens, OB, is change is exciting. whatever the change is, it can reinvigorate, it can inspire, it can and provide hope for us fans and for the players.
Well, you know what I thought about? I think it might make them, if that's not that's a big issue, I would think, but help them be a little more focused.
Yep.
And I know the idea is, well, you go Thursday, you got all this time to focus, but maybe you have too much time. I was listening to you and the McKinney brothers talk the other day, and I can't remember if it was Steve or Seth, but they both agreed, but one of them was saying he hated going on the road, leaving on Friday when they had a Saturday night game. And I understood they had to do that, but you're just sitting around all day, and it just it eats at you, and double that.
Well, again, to me, I don't know if this is going to solve all the problems in the world. I just know when I have an issue, and I'm not smart, by the way, when I have an issue, I investigate how I got there and what are some things I can do to change.
Like, for instance, I could always say, send me a reminder.
Yeah.
I could tell my wife as well, and then I could even put a note on my door before I leave, hey, be sure to pick up David. See, I can investigate the problem.
Yep.
I'm an idiot. Okay, that's okay. We came to the
You were doing me a favor, so it's all good.
Yeah, but I'm beginning. Okay, I can say I have become undependable. Secondly, so seek out help. Irma, listen, I'm telling you that, and then even leave myself a note.
So, again, going back to my Uber ride here, not to remind you that you forgot me, but
hey, I'll pay for that ride.
Hey, no. But the movie Home Alone, very similar to this situation. They forgot Kevin back at home. You forgot me. All good. No, but one of the things that Dan76 told me that I think is an interesting thing is there's I forget how exactly he phrased it, but there's two-prong effect here, two ways to look at it. Can you look in the mirror and see the mistakes? And then can you apply the methodology that you've associated with those mistakes? I think there wasn't enough looking in the mirror going on.
You're talking about the Aggies.
I'm talking about the Aggies
and Jimbo. Yeah, well, I agree with that in a lot of things, not just involving travel.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Here's one. If your quarterback keeps getting hit a lot, and Elijah Robinson talked about it yesterday, it's not just the offensive line. I believe that. I think the offensive line's got some issues. What are you going to do to protect your quarterback? What are you going to do? And that's multiple levels there. It's the O-line. It's the running backs. It's the tight end. It's the quarterback himself.
You know, one thing that
there's a fly in here that I'm going to destroy. Go ahead.
One of the things I never got is if you have running backs that are struggling in pass protection consistently.
Yep.
And in those plays where you know you're going to pass, everybody knows you're going to pass. Why don't you just put a backup lineman down in there? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're passing. So why don't I take?
Unless you don't think your linemen are very good at it.
I'm just saying if we're passing and everybody knows it, and we got to get the ball downfield, so I don't want to check down to the running back. It doesn't really matter. So
or develop.
Well, that too.
Teach.
But if I'm struggling with it, then I take out the 200-pound lineman and put in, running back, maybe put in a 290-pound lineman to help pick up the blitz.
Let's listen to Elijah Robinson yesterday on his reasons for A&M this week, in this particular week, leaving on a Friday.
Tomorrow's the last day of school. Normally we leave on Thursdays to give our guys a chance to get academics done, because we try with our academics. Due to this week being done with school on Tuesday and us practicing on Wednesday allows our guys to catch up on work on Wednesday. So I don't think there's a need for us to travel on Thursday this week. It allows our guys to spend time with their family on Thanksgiving, allow the coaches to spend time with their family on Thanksgiving, and then we'll have a walkthrough on Friday and we'll head out on Friday. And that's strictly due to us not having to worry about academic issues.
He made it a point to make sure that it wasn't because he wanted it. I think he was protecting Jimbo.
Yes,
there.
I agree.
And that's fine.
No, it is.
I think it was the perfect answer.
It's he and Jimbo are probably friends, and he doesn't want to look like he's doing something to make Jimbo look bad.
Right.
Right. So I thought the same thing about Anias. Anias seemed to, I can see I can see the advantages both ways, and made it, and finally he said, but I would prefer, but he set it up quite a bit before he talked about how he would prefer leaving on Friday.
Yeah, I'm all good with it. And again, this isn't necessarily going to go into LSU. This is not going to mean that they're going to go win at LSU. They might. I have some reasons why I think they might win that game. This freaking fly. I am not frustrated at all for showing up late, but this freaking fly wants to mess with me.
Yeah, his life ends in the break.
It's like that troll on Twitter that that's what he's like. Anyway, I know you checked in with Nick Savage. I have not checked in with Nick Savage. Nick, can you call the exterminator, and how are you this morning?
I'm great. I'm just fine. No, I cannot call the exterminator. You are the exterminator. You can take care of it. You can get him.
You are kind of the exterminator.
What does
Maybe
that
not.
Like
why do you take that as an insult?
I don't. I'm just curious why I am the exterminator.
Actually, this reminds me, my exterminator's coming by today.
Good guy?
Yeah.
Are you sure he is?
Yes. He actually sent me a reminder, but I forgot about
If you want, I can text Dan76 to pick him up to bring him there. Anyway, Nick, what else is going on, buddy?
Well, tonight is Student Bonfire. Just looking forward to that. We'll be streaming that on TexAgs and on YouTube, so be sure to check that out if you can't make it out to the actual Burns site. But I know it's a lot of Aggie's favorite tradition, so just excited to see that tonight.
So I'm curious, have you ever experienced Bonfire?
I actually haven't. No, I've never gotten the chance to.
God, it's so weird for me because it was like, obviously the tragedy that happened in 1999, like that's all I knew when it came to A&M. That was like, I went to Bonfire as a kid. Like we would come up for Thanksgiving and be a part of it. It was like, obviously through my college years, but before. And like this generation, Luke, I assume, have you been?
Never.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
to change that.
When I came down to work at the Eagle in '93, I remember that first of all, that Thanksgiving weekend was freezing cold. I mean, you might remember that was the ice game up in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, and but the night before was so cold, and but there had to be, I never know, what the crowd is. It looked like there was 500,000 people out there. It was amazing. But here, and I know I'm saying myself, here's what I don't get about Bonfire now. The whole reason for Bonfire was the way I understood it, was to symbolize the burning desire to beat Texas. And
or our rival, yeah.
No, it was
Texas, yeah.
And then they stopped playing Texas, but they kept having a bonfire. Well, now, I don't have
we gotta kill this thing.
Its life's almost over.
Yeah, it has to die.
It does. The fly dies.
Mother.
But I don't. I'm not saying, hey, you shouldn't do that. I just find it a little bit odd to me, but because of what the reason you did the bonfire in the first place.
Maybe now that Texas is back, people like Luke can go be a part of it.
I think it'll be you know what? I think it'll be a really amazing spectacle next year.
Is it 200 degrees in this studio?
No.
I'm sweating my butt off.
That's probably because it's endorphins and things like that from having to rush up here because
no, I think it's because I don't know. Let's go. It's this fly. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke Evangelist. Luke, hello, sir.
Good morning, David. Matt on the YouTube chat wants to know what Obi's buyout is because it might be time to Jimbo him.
I can't deny it. Unfortunately, I don't have Jimbo's buyout. In fact, I probably have to pay TexAgs on the way out. But if they said, Olin, you're too stupid to work here, I really couldn't argue.
You do realize you were just doing me a favor. It's not a work thing. It's all good.
You don't understand the dependability is important to me. And I've always been there.
You've always been there for me. In fact, unfortunately, I've used you too often recently because I have a transmission issue. Shout out to Oliver Brothers. They're taking care of my car. I hope to find out today what the situation is. And you've taken me to work twice now, so thank you.
But it doesn't matter. I fumbled at the goal line.
Actually, once.
I fumbled at the goal line.
We failed on this one, yeah. It's all good. I was kind of laughing when I realized this dude's not coming.
I wasn't laughing when it hit me and I went, oh, blankety blank blank blankety blank blank blankety blank blank.
Luke, please provide the audience some substance.
I've got a text message from Jack76 saying if you need an exterminator, call Jack76. SETI Pest Control. Is the class of 76 just the most helpful class
No,
ever,
he's the
or
same
what?
guy. That's the Uber driver.
No, that's
him.
Dan. That's Dan76. This
who-
is Jack76.
Oh my gosh.
And 76 was, everybody was celebrating the bicentennial. It was a big year.
76. You guys are great Americans, right? That's the year I was born.
Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a bicentennial baby.
Oh, baby.
There was a joke there. We're not going to go. Luke, one more thing.
You know, the YouTube chat was very funny this morning. I misspoke. I said A&M women's basketball won by 55 last night. Math is very difficult. 80 minus 35 is actually 45. Thank you, Matt, for that correction.
Thank you very much. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We got to come back with our Apex Performance of the Week. I think there's a couple of easy ones we can go to. But before we do that, Obi, true story. I'm at Veterans Park yesterday. It's getting cold. My buddy Philip Vargas is next to me. He goes, I was listening to the podcast yesterday. Meat dessert. And he starts laughing. Like, is that an Olin Buchanan banger? Is that like your line? Did you come up with meat dessert? I don't think I've heard it other than when you talk about Fargos.
I don't think I've heard it. I mean,
it's just something you made up.
It's something I thought about and just said, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that I coined the phrase because I don't know. I've never heard it anywhere else. But yes, that's what I just thought when I ate those succulent rib tips, those succulent rib tips.
Yeah.
And they're kind of sweet, you know? And I took that bite and I went, man, I could have this for dessert. It's so good. Oh, meat dessert. So I will say I actually, I eat more than my wife, right?
Yeah.
And so she ate about half of her cup of rib tips. I ate my entire cup. And she said, well, you can finish mine. I said, oh.
I love you.
Meat dessert.
Meat dessert.
I did. I said, I love you, rib tips. I love you.
You know, one of my problems when I had the rib tips there, I eat them too fast, right? And I don't think you can, like you used the word succulent.
Succulent.
Yeah. You should be able to be patient with the meat. Yeah. With meat
savor.
dessert. Yeah. Just
savor. Just take a small bite and kind of just
nibble at it.
Just nibble and kind of chew, just kind of like you would the nape of the neck of someone you love.
I think I have an idea for you, a business opportunity for you.
What would that be?
I think an OnlyFans page of Olin going to Fargos.
Going to Fargos. Come on.
1701.
Have some.
Let me clean this up. 1701 South Texas Avenue.
You're going to love it.
M. Bryan, OB, what's their trademark?
Their trademark? I don't know what their trademark.
Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town.
Well, that's not a trademark. That's just the truth.
Well, that's what they call it. That's their trademark. It's legally branded that way. I don't know. We're all over the place. It's Fargos. Go check it out. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. If you want to be part of the conversation this morning, I forgot to tell you, you can call us or text us, 979-693-1150. If you do call us, you'll be on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Let's do the Apex Performance of the Week, presented by Apex Health. Feel like you're losing your edge? It could be low testosterone. Increase your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance with a custom treatment plan from Apex Health. Learn more at apexhealthclinic.com. The Apex Health Clinic is this freaking fly. God! Almost had that. Sorry, where was I? That was a bad swing.
Well, he's way over there.
Presented by whatever. They serve the Brazos Valley, and there's no whatever. I love them. All right, let's get into it. Whoever gets this fly is the Apex Performer of the Week, all right?
I was going to say the fly was the Apex Performer of the Week.
That dude's like A-Chain. You just can't stop him. A-Chain against LSU, this freaking thing. A-Chain, come back for a game. All right, should we start off with Moose Muhammad?
Moose.
The Moose is loose?
The Moose call. Oh, that's my Moose call. Oh. I actually got on Googled what does a moose call sound like, and it kind of sounded like that.
Like that? Oh, you sure that's never mind?
No,
Lou got me. So 4 catches, 104 yards, 1 touchdown, 49-yard reception, the acrobatics, the one-handed catch, the hurdle. He did it all.
The one-handed catch. Is it true? I didn't see ESPN, but somebody said that was the ESPN top play of the day.
I saw that. I didn't see it, but I saw that written somewhere, either on social or on our boards. But
I can't imagine a better play.
Luke, do you?
I can't imagine why he hadn't played more.
Sorry, I'm just cracking up. It's something on the YouTube chat. It's called OB Old B.
I mean, guilty. I can't.
You're the Mr. Miyagi of the show. So if we can get you some
chopsticks, I can catch the fly.
Yeah. Does that make me Daniel LaRusso?
Yes, David Song.
Wax on, wax off, baby.
Yeah.
All right. So Moose Muhammad, obviously. Let's continue it on the football side of things. Ruben Owens' 100-yard game.
I want to see more of Ruben Owens.
I do too.
I remember. Was it Auburn? He had a little swing pass and it looked like it was going to be like a 2-yard loss or something. He just made a move and stepped through the tackle and turned it into like a 20-yard gain. Man, he's got some juice. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I all season long I have felt like he's a step away from breaking this big one.
Yeah.
What I liked about this last performance, I mean, he did have a 28-yard run, but it was just consistently good. It wasn't just like one big run. It was like chunks at a time.
Runs with some power too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's definitely got this great vision. He can cut.
Mm-hmm.
He does it all. Let's give a big one to Henry Coleman. How about that? SEC
Henry
Player
Coleman's
of the Week.
playing out of his mind.
19 points, 7 of 7 in this game against Oral Roberts, 10 rebounds. But honestly, I don't know, and Buzz kind of said this, I don't know if they are 4-0 without his performances.
They're not.
He's that good.
They're not. They don't win against Oral Roberts without Henry.
Yeah.
Henry's playing. He's playing. I think he's had one game that's kind of pedestrian, but every other game, he's played great. He's like a double machine.
He has been a double machine. He's been fantastic, and I do believe, to play at this level all season long is going to be very difficult, right? That's like Player of the Year type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can be consistent, because I think sometimes we've seen him, and I think everybody on the A&M offensively has their ups and their downs when it comes to Wade Taylor's the closest thing to consistency offensively, and I guess Boots would be second. But they've struggled a little bit to start the year. If he can give you these kind of, I mean, I'm not asking for a double-double, I'll take it, but get close to this consistently, you're going to win a lot more games than you thought initially.
Yeah. I thought 2 years ago he was really good and he was a nice offensive player. And then last year, not so much. But I do believe it's because Henry just is that guy that just does what is needed for him in that particular game. And if he's needed to do some of the dirty work, he doesn't mind doing that dirty work. But if I need to, be more active scoring, he can be more active scoring.
Well, how about this? One thing that I have to give Buzz props on, development. Guys develop here.
They do.
They develop in season, Like in the middle of the season, we saw Wade Taylor take his game to another level. We see it over time. I think we're seeing it with Solo right now. He's a better player than he was a year ago, and I don't just take that for granted because you have more experience, you're automatically better. They've worked with him. Boots, we've seen his growth since he arrived on campus. Dexter Dennis became a stud, and he was a stud beforehand, but he took his game to new heights, and we're watching Henry Coleman's game evolve. I want to see what he does in conference play, but the start has been fantastic.
Yeah, it has. You know what I like about Buzz, among other things, is as the season goes on, his scheme, his attack, his offense will evolve. Last 2 years, for example, hey, things aren't going as well as according to plan. Let's just feature Quentin Jackson.
Right.
And look where that went. Last year, okay, we're having some issues. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Boots and we're going to take Wade and we're going to attack the rim. And we're going to get layups and fouls and win at the free throw line. And he just figures out what his team needs and adjusts. Some coaches don't do that in a lot of sports. But now he may not have to do that this year.
Right.
They may be good all year. Hope so.
I hope they are as well. All right, let's hit a break. We're going to come back with Shereen Williams. We'll talk a little NFL with her. Aggie's in the NFL. We'll talk some Cowboys. We'll definitely talk about maybe her favorite candidate so far, that and much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. That's where we will find Shireen Williams of Pro Football Talk, our Aggie friend, and, of course, the Hall of Famer. Shireen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. Great to see you a couple of weekends in a row. I think it's 2 weekends in a row, right? Is that? Yeah.
Sad we're done now.
So Obi and I, during the break, we're kind of discussing our favorites. And my favorite changes when it comes to the candidates for this job. It changes hourly, daily. There was a time that I wanted Traylor. There's a time I want Jonathan Smith. There's a Jed Fish. Can we hold out and maybe get Ryan Day? I keep changing. But where are you right now when it comes to this Aggie coaching search?
I'm ready to get it over with and find out who it is. To be honest about it, I wanted to hire a coach and let's move on. And I think if the timing is what they say it is, probably have a new coach after the LSU game, and I think it's probably Jeff Traylor or Mike Elko or whoever. Somebody they can get now. It's not going to be somebody that's in the national championship picture. So, yeah, I'm just ready for them to get on with it, and let's keep these players and keep these recruits and start getting ready for 2024. Let's find out who it is.
I agree with all
and
that.
hire special teams coach. I'm ready to get the special teams coach in here.
Thank you. That's been a major issue, right? A special teams coach, and I like a coach that's going to come in and, like I said, I don't have a problem if it's Eli Robinson. Or Mike Elko. I just want, if it's a defensive coach, just make sure they are the type of guy that bring in a really good offensive coordinator and let him run the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the key is the assistant coach hires. And if it's somebody like Elijah who hasn't been a head coach before, you need in my thoughts, you need to hire a senior analyst. And that guy needs to be somebody who has been a head coach before, because there's going to be things that you don't know that you're going to have to navigate during the year. And I don't want that guy being an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. I want that guy right by his side the whole entire year saying, all right, this is what's going to happen here. Let me help you with game management decisions, all those sorts of things. You got to have somebody you trust in that position by your side. If you've never done it before, if they're hiring somebody who's never done it before.
And I also want to, and this is really hard. This, Shireen, I would like to, and this might be looking for a unicorn here, but I'd like to find that coach that just doesn't have a massive ego, because all coaches seem to have massive egos, but they can't acknowledge their mistakes or don't want to delegate. Because I think I always go back to Nick Saban. I said, when you're the best coach ever and you don't mind delegating and letting somebody else run your offense, I think that speaks volumes.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. And there's nothing wrong with this Jerry calls it being a walk-around head coach. Let your coaches coach and have your responsibility as game management. People don't realize how big game management and all that is. It's huge, and there's an art to it, and you have to be good at it if you want to win some of these games late. You have to know when to call your timeouts, all those things. You have to know the analytics, when to go for it, when not to go for it. Those are big, big decisions. And when you're trying to call offenses and do other things or call defenses or whatever it is, to me, it just doesn't work. Like you're multitasking and taking on too much. Just make it simple. Your job is big enough making those decisions. Let other people call the plays, people you trust. That's why you bring them in as assistant coaches, because you trust them to do their jobs. Let them do their job.
Shireen, yesterday Elijah Robinson said that they're going to travel on Friday for this particular game because school's over and they don't have to get there a day ahead. Regardless, I think it's a step in the right direction. How would you assess his first week at being the interim head coach?
Yeah, I just learned they went on Thursdays. I didn't even know until yesterday that they travel on Thursdays. That's stupid. Nobody does that. So,
I love you, Shireen.
It's dumb. No, it's dumb. So, I think his first week has been remarkable. I thought they would come out and really play a little bit better earlier. I thought they'd be really fired up and just click on all cylinders right at the beginning, and of course that didn't happen. But other than that, you got the win and you did what you needed to do, and you could tell the players were excited. I know wearing the maroon on maroon, and I love seeing Moose in his maroon sleeves. That was kind of exciting, and playing the way he did. So, yeah, I think he had a very successful first week, and I think he saw the players respond to him. And I would be just fine if he got the job. I would be just fine with that if they want to go ahead and give Elijah Robinson the full-time job and see what happens. I'd be okay with that. I don't think there's anybody they're going to hire that I'm going to be completely fired up about. I just want it done, and let's hire a special teams coach, and let's figure out who the offensive and defensive coordinators are going to be, and let's move on and get this train rolling toward 2024.
Amen.
Amen. Shireen, let's go through some Aggies in the NFL.
Yeah, we might as well just rename this award the Myles Garrett and Justin Matabuke Award. But let's start with the honorable mention for Bobby Brown. He came back. He was on injured reserve and came back. His first game back, he had 2 tackles, a half sack, which was his first sack of the season, and a quarterback hit. Played pretty well for the Rams in their upset victory over the Seahawks. 3, we're going to go with Mike Evans. 5 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Still playing so good at the age he is, where he is in his career, and going to have should have another 1,000-yard season this season. Number 2, Justin Matabike, 9.5 sacks this season, 8 consecutive with at least half a sack. He had 3 tackles, a sack, a quarterback hit, and a tackle for loss. And number 1, Myles Garrett on his way to Defensive Player of the Year, potentially MVP. Everyone, including our site, wrote that he's got a shot at the MVP award with the way he's playing. The Browns can make the playoffs, win the division. He had 2 sacks, 2 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss. His 13 sacks lead the NFL by 1, and he should have had a safety on the 1 sack that he had early, but the Browns didn't challenge it. If they did, I think he would have had a safety as well. So just playing out of his mind, and really and truly 2 defensive players in history have ever won the MVP award. He absolutely has a shot at that this year with the quarterback not really shining. I mean, you start thinking, if you're going to name a quarterback, who are you going to name? I don't know. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't play well last night, and they won. Patrick Mahomes has 3 losses. So he's got a legitimate shot to win the MVP award this year.
Hope he does.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
And freaking Dan Campbell, we got a little magic at the end of that one, too.
Might be CJ, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CJ's playing crazy.
Yeah. Oh.
Stroud?
He's been good. Hey,
he's been unbelievable.
Shireen, great stuff as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Shireen Williams. This freaking fly. It's right here. I see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
It's get it.
Mother.
That fly is just taunting you.
And people are seeing it on YouTube. Like, they can see. Like, we got a text a moment ago. Like, it's big.
At least it's not landing on you like Mike Pence's head. Trying to win an election. You got a fly landing on your head, like a fly, landing on some pile of whatever.
We're going to hit a break here, and we're going to come back with Guessing the Lines with Luke Evangelist at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Hey everybody, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon U. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center where we find Luke Evangelist. We're going to play the game Guess the Spread. Is that what we call it?
Guess the line.
Guess the line, sorry.
Yeah. Obi, I know you like eggs, hard-boiled eggs, so let's head over to the Egg Bowl, number 13.
I don't know if I like that
Miss.
segue. I don't know if I like that one. I think that one.
Okay.
What do you think? Did you like it?
But you're okay with the Fargo's read? that
Yeah,
just took
Fargo's reads
place?
are great.
Oh, okay.
Actually, believe it or not, very popular spot. People stop us all the time, Luke.
Okay, I was just wondering, because the one today was especially vile.
Vile?
Why?
Talk about succulent ribs?
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's a
what's,
word- that's
what's
a-
the spread on Ole Miss, Mississippi State?
Ole Miss by
17.5.
I was going to say 15.
It's 11.5.
Okay.
Contra.
Over under half a fly killed in the studio today.
0.
Half a fly?
Yeah, you're either picking it to be killed or
Oh,
not.
it will be killed. I don't know if it's when, but it's.
I don't know.
There's a contract on this fly.
This fly is amazing. Like
he is.
There's a respect that we have for each other. He respects our hustle, but we also respect how good he is.
This fly is
It's like Billy the Kid. Like you can't catch him.
Oh, he got caught. Pat Garrett
At
killed
the
him.
end. Yeah.
Like Dean Wormer. Fly dead. Larva dead.
I don't think I understand.
You didn't see Animal House?
Yeah, but I was like,
He says Marmalade dead.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Wormer dead. Okay. Fly dead.
Do you remember this, Lucas?
I've seen Animal House, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, next.
Niedermeyer dead.
Oh, now I'm remembering.
That's
Next,
fake.
we have number 11, Oregon State at number 6, Oregon.
Ooh.
Oregon by
6.5.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's Oregon by 14.5.
Really, that much?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it either.
I would take even on the road. I think I'd take Oregon State, and that's a big rival.
Come on, Smith. Let's get it done, buddy.
Number 9, Missouri at Arkansas.
Oh,
Number 9, Missouri at Arkansas.
Missouri by 12.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 13.5.
It's Missouri by 7.5.
God, I am the worst ever at this game. I need to start cheating.
Next up, over under 27.5 more minutes of life for the fly in the studio.
Probably
I'm
over.
I'm taking the over.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah, and remember, we're doing a show here, so my focus can only be really during the break.
And it's really hard to kill with just a wadded up, folded up piece of paper. I don't have the actual fly swatter.
I feel like I had him. I feel like I touched his wing.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Good,
Thank you,
David.
Thank
That's
you.
good
Thank
for
you.
Number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Michigan.
Ooh.
Michigan by 1.5.
Michigan by
4.
Let him talk, bro.
3.5. My bad. It's 3.5.
So Obi wins that one.
Yep. And then Texas A&M at number 15, LSU.
Oh, I think I've seen this one already. It's like LSU by 10.5, I think.
I would say LSU by 10.
Yeah, it's 11.5.
Okay.
I've got over under 1.5 pounds of turkey eaten by David Nuño at Thanksgiving.
1.5 pounds? Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go.
That's way under.
I'll probably tell you the exact amount I'll have.
Yeah, you probably have it weighed out.
So in my mind, I'll do visual cues. I won't bring my scale. But I'm having 2 Thanksgiving dinners, one at my mother-in-law's house and one at my parents'. I'm going to assume I'll probably have 8 ounces of turkey at each stop. So 16 ounces of turkey is what my guess is. So somewhere under 20 ounces.
I would say that it would have been better had you said like over 6 sprigs of broccoli. I would have taken the over all day long.
I'm more team protein than I am team broccoli, although I do appreciate broccoli.
You do.
But sometimes they ruin it by putting like cheese and like stuff.
Yeah,
that's
it's terrible.
Like
and
if
put it in a casserole with rice.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because it's awesome.
It's not that awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
It's not that awesome. Well, I mean, by the way, everybody does what I do. Everybody has a lot of turkey on Thanksgiving.
I just wanted to see.
I'm not having turkey.
Do you think like I'm on a diet all the time?
No, we're just guessing the line, David.
Okay. What else are you going to have us guess?
We have number 8, Alabama at Auburn.
Oh, gosh. After last week?
I'm going to say, but crazy things happen.
Yeah.
Alabama by 13.5.
I'm going to say Alabama by 20.
It's Alabama by 14.5.
Okay, I'm back in this game, baby.
Number 4, Florida State at Florida.
The battle of 2 quarterbacks
Backup
gone.
quarterbacks.
Florida State by, is that Florida State?
At Florida.
Oh, at Florida. Florida State by
7.
6.5.
7.
It's Florida State by 11.5.
Okay. Maybe they didn't get the memo that the quarterback's out.
And then finally, we've got the Apple Cup. I was going to make a joke, but I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Washington State at number 5, Washington.
That matchup could be delicious.
Washington
delicious
State
apples
by 9.5.
Obi, you're like, you could say you're a Granny Smith.
Granny implies a woman.
Grandpa Smith, Apple.
I remember when they called that the Crapple Cup because between them, they only had one win one year. Obviously different. Washington, where is it? Is it on the Palouse or is it in Seattle?
Seattle.
Oh, okay. Washington by 13.
It's Washington by 17.
I'm totally distracted.
He came
this
at
freaking
me.
fly.
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
Honestly, you know what, LB? I know you're done with the show now.
All right.
But I think you stay in studio and you don't have to sit. You can just be like the fly watcher, and you on camera. Hopefully, you capture that bad boy on the show.
The fly watcher. I'm gonna have to get a better fly swatter than this though.
I mean, do we have like a little spray?
No. I want him to suffer.
I want to parade his head around studio when we get him. I want to leave it right
Put it on a toothpick.
Yes.
Mount his head on a toothpick.
I want it to be like when they got Osama? No. When they got Pablo Escobar and they brought his body out and everybody was clapping.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah. William Wallace, I want to separate him and move him to all four corners of the office.
BDR says, I steam broccoli and put 2 tablespoons of butter and garlic powder on onion powder and Parmesan cheese. My kids love it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just have like fried chicken then. If you're going to have all those calories with broccoli, just have fried chicken. That's the way I roll.
I know it is.
You know? Like,
why you roll? I bet you don't even eat a roll.
Oh, I love it. I had like 5 slices of pizza on Friday, buddy.
Really?
Yeah, all in moderation. You got to know what you did the day before and the day after and what you did in the morning. Then you can have whatever you want.
I don't even know what we're having.
Well, calories in and out. I got you, buddy.
We got to find a place that's open in Baton Rouge.
All right, we'll come back with Jamie McCoy. I don't know why I did that. Jamie McCoy's got a very manicured beard. I got to give him props. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline where we find Jamie McCoy. Jamie, so I sometimes don't shave because my daughters think it looks good when I'm scruffy. How long does it take to grow a beard as manicured and as professional as yours?
Man, the growth happens, I guess it'd take a week or two.
That's it?
But I get a haircut, or I've been growing my hair out here lately, so I get a haircut every Monday, or an edge up, so to speak. So when I see you on Tuesday, it would look as fresh as it could look. So I appreciate that.
All right, let's get to the. By the way, if you see me spazzing out on camera, as the audience has seen, there's a fly in this studio that has been heckling, laughing at OB and myself, has been punching us. It's been, and it is.
I did see that.
It's amazing. This fly, like I have so much respect for it, but his day's going to come to an end at some point during the show. So if you see like some, gyrations, you'll know why. How does A&M beat LSU this weekend?
I got you. Man, in order for A&M to beat LSU this week, it is going to take an aggressive mentality on the offense. There has to be quite a bit given to the run game. We've got to see if Le'Veon or Ruben can get it going, get a hot hand early, see if our O-line can be efficient. And then defensively, it's going to take a big effort from our front seven, particularly the front four, being able to get some pressure and have our linebackers drop in the coverage somewhat. But it's going to take an all-American effort from our cornerbacks, because they have some talent out there at the wide receiver game, and then their quarterback is pretty nice himself in Heisman contention. So it's going to take a big effort on both sides of the ball. Special teams has to be clutch. Can't have any shooting ourselves in the foot. And, it's just going to take a big effort heart-wise. I don't think that they're necessarily the better team. I think everything is going in their favor as far as being at home, being a night game, crowd is rowdy. We haven't won a road game and who knows when. So we've got to be able to get over that hump. I hope that the guys are able to play inspired for Elijah and, cap this season off right. 8-4 will be a great way to go out with as bad as this season has kind of turned into.
Jamie, you're the ultimate professional. You just watched me on camera swing at this fly, hit the microphone with full force, and you didn't stop. You didn't hesitate. You continued to work your way through that. So a lot of props to the way you handled all that. So let's talk about – I don't think this is going to be a problem, Jamie. Like, there's no distraction per se, but how much of a distraction can a coaching search be? Oh, it looks like we've lost Jamie McCoy, so hopefully we'll get him back here in a moment. I don't sense that there is a distraction with this team at all, right? Like, in fact, I would say the opposite is happening, right? The opposite of a distraction for this team. I think they're actually really bought in to what Elijah Robinson is trying to do. Nick doesn't realize his mic is on. But there is, to me, they have bought in.
Just sending Luke back in there for you.
And beyond buying in, I don't see a distraction being part of the equation here. I don't think it at all. We can just call Jamie on the phone if there's any internet problems. But I don't sense that. I sense a team that is all bought in. But I am curious, like, how much of a problem can a coaching search be? Jamie McCoy is texting me, and guys, he says just to call him. So if you guys can call Jamie McCoy up, that'd be great. Anyway, I don't sense that, and I do think that we won't see that be an issue this weekend at all. But I am curious, like, how much of an issue can it be to be in the middle of a coaching search? Because week one of the Elijah Robinson experience, that would be a good show name, was all about, like, let's do this for Elijah. They really want to do it for Elijah. They need to do it, like, in this particular game, right? Like, this is the game where you prove there are no distractions and whatnot. And look, they're in a tough situation because they don't win on the road, much less in Baton Rouge. We go back to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We are joined by Jamie McCoy. Yeah, I can hear you. Jamie.
I see you now.
So are you on Zoom and on the phone?
I get
This is just some of the best radio we've done all year. And boom goes the dynamite. Luke Evangelist, can you read a text while I gather my thoughts?
This is going to be even funnier, David. I don't even have my computer in front of me, but I do remember a text from Roy May. He said, "How can you be Batman but not kill a fly? If the fly makes it the whole show, then we have to stop calling you Batman."
Well, I'm not trying to kill it. I'm just trying to do what they did to Ra's al Ghul, injure it. And then if he happens to die, he dies. If he dies, he dies. Like Dolph Lundgren, Ivan Drago said. Jamie, so my question to you was, do you feel that the coaching search can be a distraction, or because it's a rivalry game, throw that out the window? This is good. I agree. That kind of show, Luke. That kind of show. There were some fun times. There were some good times. And certainly some awkward times.
I think the fly has made his way to the cables and to the internet connection and has fully sabotaged the show.
All good. You know, when Zoom doesn't work, you know what you do? You go to the old switcheroo. You go to the phone line. And I believe we've got Jamie on the phone, but I see him on Zoom. And I just really want, you know what I want to do? I just want to take a day off. That's really what I want to do. I'm glad Olin didn't come get me. I shouldn't have taken the Uber, Dan76. We go back to the hotline. We'll try one last time with our friend Jamie McCoy. Jamie, I was asking about the potential distraction of a coaching search, but it being a rivalry week. Does that throw out that kind of excuse out the window?
I think so. Right now, the coaching search is paramount, but we got to deal with what you got to deal with. And that right now, the fact of the matter is we got a game on Saturday. It kind of takes precedent on the ending. You got to end this season first. I know the coaching search is very important. We'd like to have this thing done as soon as possible. But right now, the focus needs to be solely on LSU and trying to get a win and end the losing streak. But two, like I said, go out with a bang for Elijah, and then get us some good momentum going into 24. And then we go all out for the coaching search. But for now, let's give it another 4 or 5 days. All attention should be set on LSU, in my opinion.
By the way, speaking of the coaching search, after a week of kind of digesting the candidates that are out there, do you have a favorite or two that you are most intrigued by?
I do. So, first off, I don't know much about the Jared Fish guy, but seeing what he's done at Arizona, knowing that someone went there, Rich Rod, and the people that have, the talent that they're going to get on that front, for him to turn it around the way that he has and have them in the top 20, I think speaks volumes, especially because what A&M has to offer, I think, is out of the world compared to Arizona. So that's number one with him. A lot of this is speculation. I don't know if I'm just hearing rumors or what, but I've heard whether Ryan Day or Lincoln Riley. I've heard different guys. DeBoer would be good. For me personally, the combination that I've heard that I think would work, I can't say I think will work best because who knows what will work best, but in an ideal world for me, it would be Elko getting the job, just because I think he's stable and I don't think the defense has looked. I love his exotic blitzes, his looks, his knowledge of the whole defense. So I love I love him leading the helm, and then I would like to see somebody like Cliff Kingsbury come back to A&M and be the offense coordinator, because I don't think the offenses look better than Johnny's redshirt year, and then that second year, I know we moved on, but when Cliff was under the helm, I think the offense looked great. So I love to see an Elko head coach with Cliff as the offense coordinator.
Dude, that sounds like a deadly combination in a good way. Like I'm intrigued. I'm more than intrigued. I would love that to be the case. Let's talk Max Wright for a minute. He played his last game at Kyle Field. I know that obviously you played the position. You pay special attention to tight ends. I feel like Max is beloved, sometimes forgotten at the same time. Do you kind of jibe with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Max is one of those guys that he's one of those guys that you love to have on the team because you know that he's going to do anything that's needed and anything that's necessary for the team to win. Not only that, he's not the marquee name that you think of when you're thinking which tight end is going to do it for us, which tight end is going to get downfield. You know, Jake Johnson. I mean, that's your prototype. But the fact that Max is so willing, I think he's just a great staple for the team. One thing that I love about him is he has some underrated hands. So a lot of the catches that he's made this year are catches that I don't think our top tight ends could make. So I'm not sure. I hate that it was his last game to Kyle. You love to have guys like that on your team for as long as possible. But for the circumstances, I think what he's done with what he's been given, he's far exceeded expectations, and I'm wishing nothing but the best. I hope he has a great game this weekend, too, to kind of cap off his tenure with the Aggies.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Marcel Reed to Jaden Platt, 13-yard touchdown. Let's give some props to the youngsters, man.
Oh, absolutely. You love to see Platt getting involved. I've seen him in some of the post videos and whatnot. Wondering, man, when are we going to get this big specimen on the field and getting some action? Granted, younger guys, they kind of take a little bit to develop. They're not always necessarily ready to come in and put their hand in the pile, but getting these guys involved in games like this past Saturday is great, not only for their momentum moving forward and keeping them with the team, moving going into the future, but you love to see those guys get a boost of confidence and do a little bit of what they used to do in high school, just get a little taste of a touchdown at the college level. I remember when I got my first one, and it was a night to remember. With Reed, man, I'm telling you, I'm not in the obviously on the team. I'm not a coach there. From what I see, it could be just that he's young, but the way that Reed kid moves, I missed him in the Mississippi State game. I talked to my brother Terrence, and he's like, man, did you see the other backup? I was like, no, we had already got out of there by that time. But the little bit that I got to see this week, man, his body type reminds me of like a Lamar Jackson or Pat White back when he was at West Virginia. He's so quick twitch, and against LSU, I mean, there's some plays that Jalen has made and things that he's done where I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm wanting a little bit more. And the Reed kid may not be ready, but just from my eye test, man, depending on how things go on Saturday, I might have a quick trigger ready for this kid to come in and see if he can't do something special. Because I think that he could be electric with his legs, not only his arms.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Radio. Jamie, I think one of the cool storylines, and sometimes we overrate a situation based on one performance, but Moose Muhammad, there's no overrating. That guy, when he gets opportunities, he makes highlight plays. He makes dazzling catches. He makes things happen. Your thoughts on what you saw from Moose and hopefully what we'll see against LSU?
Man, Moose, I feel like I've been calling for it all year. Last year, he made similar catches to that one hand, right hand, left hand, over the shoulder. It didn't matter. It seems like if you get in that guy's area, he has a good chance, a better than 50% chance of coming down with the ball. Being able to see him put that on display this week, granted the competition wasn't a top-notch level, but a catch is a catch, and an amazing catch is an amazing catch, and that's what that was. I love seeing him get a boost and get some confidence before this big game. I think this may be his last game as an Aggie as well. So I think more than anything, I think this was a good boost for him, kind of like a reminder, like, hey, I still got it. I'm still able. I'm still capable of doing these things. Now it's a matter of, can you do it on the highest stage with the highest competition, which I absolutely – I mean, he did it last year against LSU. He did it the year before that against LSU. So I'm expecting a big game from Moose. I'm expecting a big game from Noah. And then granted, these are bigger pieces with Evan and Anais, but we've got the talent. If you can spread it around and kind of keep these guys on their heels, run game can be efficient, I think we got a good chance to, I wouldn't say blow anybody out, but I think we can make this a barn burner. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hopeful that it'll be a high-scoring game, and maybe we can score more than the Tigers.
Jamie, what do you think about this offense? Because the perception of the offense, and by the way, it's a real perception for big stretches of the season, but the perception is the offense isn't good enough. That being said, I'm trying to look at my notes here. I think since the Tennessee game, A&M's offense is averaging 38 points per game. Now, that does include a 51-point game, but against Ole Miss, they scored. Against Mississippi State, they scored. Against South Carolina, they scored. What do you see from this offense? Do you buy it?
I do buy it. It's what we've had. It's I can't say it's what we've used all year, but we when you've got the tools in the toolbox, it's just a matter of pulling them out and using them. I think here in these past 3 games, we've done that. We've given our guys. We've got the talent. We've got nice 5-star running backs. We've got 5-star receivers. It's a matter of giving your guys the opportunity to come down and make a play. If you never throw it deep, you're never going to catch a deep ball. So it's just a matter of being in it. You can't win it if you're not in it. So I love the fact that we're opening it up a little bit. I love the fact that the run game is getting dialed in. One thing, and I'm not sure who will hear this, but one thing I think would benefit us the greatest is switching up the snap count. It seems like all of the pressure and blitzes that these other teams are sending our way, it seems like we're not, granted, it's a blitz. You shouldn't be ready. You shouldn't know who's coming. But if we can somehow manipulate the snap count and maybe act like we're about to snap it and get these guys to show something a little bit earlier, maybe the offensive line will be helped by that and see, okay, it looks like they're coming from the right. Let's get this line shifted that way. All little things that can be done that can help these guys go out there and play to the best of their ability on Saturday. I'm just hoping we can keep carrying this over, not only these past 3 games, but this game and then moving on into next season.
Jamie, one last thing for you, bud. Let me just ask you this. Do you think they can magically fix the line issues in the last game of the season? And I preface it with saying, look, I see no evidence that they will, or the blocking issues, I should rephrase, other than last year against LSU, it all came together. They had Devon A-Chain. That kind of makes things better. But I'm just saying, it felt like in that game in particular, they were able to do what they should do. And considering the fact that LSU's got a not a very good defense, do you think it can kind of come around?
I do think it can come around. And, I'm the eternal optimist, and I don't mean to be so optimistic right now. But I absolutely do think that it can come around. Like I said, if you can put some type of snap count in there, I think that allows you to see something coming early. And then for whatever reason, it's kind of like, granted, we hadn't played Texas in over 10 years, but this is our Texas game. You throw the records out the window. It doesn't matter. It's a big rivalry. It's the last game of the year. You kind of get to let your hair down, and you know that you've got time after this game for everybody to get healthy, get right, get ready for a bowl game. I think you know that you just push all your chips in. So knowing that we've been struggling, I know that the offensive line knows that they've got to come with it. I'm sure that they've been harping on it all week in practice. I am absolutely optimistic that we can go out there and put on a good performance. Like I said, it's the last game of the year. You know what's coming. Be ready for it. Step up to the plate, do your job, and then just go out there and execute.
Jamie, great stuff as always, man. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem at all, David. Sorry about the internet troubles.
All good, bro. All good. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
All right, Pete. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Gig 'em. Jamie McCoy there on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Good people can have a bad day. Call Brian Foley, 936-596-0407. They're serving Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, and the Brazos Valley. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, Jamie Morrison. We'll talk a little volleyball as the season's down to a couple games before the NCAA tournament. We'll chit-chat with him. Right now, though, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. They do great work, and if you haven't been paying attention to what they do, you're missing out there. They help out in so many different ways. They help out with scholarships. They help out with student assistance programs. They help out with Aggie bands, Silver Taps, Rain Day, class reunions, muster, tailgate. You know it. That's what the association does. And they are a company that is all about Aggie core values and core mission statement. And if you are considering moving to the area, you might want to look at their job openings because they do have some openings there in several different departments: communications, fundraising, former student programs, campus programs. Remember, they are the oldest organization supporting that Aggie network, and they play a part in every Aggie story from howdy to here. So don't miss opportunities to help them out. They got so many great events out there like Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, you name it. Join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, selfless service, all in support of that Aggie network. If you are considering a job, or maybe you know somebody who'd be a good fit for the Association of Former Students, check out tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. He's been prepped. He knows what he's up against. Jamie Morrison in studio here on TexAgs Radio. I warned you. There's the Ivan Drago of flies in here.
As an adversary, I like it. I'm expecting like a trophy or something if I'm the one that brings him down.
If you do, honestly, I will prop you up. People are laughing because it's not an act. It's pissing me off. It's hitting me on the face.
Oh, I've been there. You had the one. Yeah, I've had the one fly in the office before that. I know. Regardless, you cannot find it. You cannot kill it. But it stays there for 2 days. I get it.
This guy's like Carl Lewis. He's just too fast. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's get into it right now. Obviously, Ole Miss on Wednesday, and then you finished on the road against Alabama. Senior day against Tennessee. Let's just talk about your seniors first, and we'll kind of work our way through that.
Yeah, Caroline Muth, first off, she's exhausted her eligibility, so for sure will not be here next year. And just going to miss her as a volleyball player. I'll start there. I think before I arrived here, it was she could hit a volleyball hard. She didn't really have a full all-around game, and I think she's developed into an amazing all-around volleyball player. And I know she wants to go off and play professionally, and I can't wait to help her get there. So just going to miss her as a volleyball player and then human being. She's one of a kind. She's got an amazing sense of humor. She's true to herself. She's really kind of adapted and molded into the person this team needed her to be this year as a human, and I know that's a really, really hard thing to do, and I got teary on that day just because I'm going to miss her as a human being. And then Lauren Hogan has another year of eligibility. I gave her a hug, and I'm saying I hope this isn't the last time that we do this, and we get to have her back. She's been our team captain, and I started the year off by saying all change is hard, coming to a new staff, a new culture, and she's been at the forefront of pushing that behind the scenes, and that's a tough place to be. And I've said it over and over and over again. I've had a lot of team captains. She might be one of the best I've ever had. So off the court, that's her. And then on the court, a stud. I think in terms of physicality, she's one of the best athletes. And I think it's hidden in that position sometimes at libero. But I think volleyball-wise, she's really, really skilled. And for me, it's pass, serve, be able to set an out-of-system ball and defend. And she's really, really good at all four.
So you were told how special of a place Texas A&M is, and then like for football, for example, kind of a rough season, taking on a bad team, 104,000. You all are just growing the attendance every game. Just what do you think about this past weekend?
Yeah, I had a moment, obviously big match against Tennessee, but we were starting off, and a lot of times kind of the volleyball crowd trickles in a little bit later, and it's not a fault or anything. It's just I look up at the student section, 30 minutes before the match, and I'm like, I wonder how this is going to go. And then 15 minutes it starts to fill in, and 5 minutes it's kind of like, oh, this is a good crowd. And I remember we were finishing up warm-up, so it was about 12 minutes before the match, and I looked up at the student section, and it was starting to fill in behind the band. And then I turned around behind me and looked at the families that were here, and we had an alumni event that was going on. I looked at alumni, and I just had a huge smile and grin on my face. And I talked to our girls a lot about a Kobe Bryant story of when I got to meet him when he talked to our girls before one of the Olympics. And it's about, this is awesome, about enjoy being in the arena and enjoy being in front of a crowd. And I just looked up and I said, this is awesome, that this is turning into what I envisioned it being when I took this job, and heard about the 12th man. And there's so much gratitude that I think it's been 100 more people every single match. And I know Wednesday is going to be tough just because it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I know probably a lot of students are out, but just if you're here, we need you. If you're, a local family that's in here and you haven't been to a volleyball match, we need you. We got 2 matches. They're must wins for us. I think we're in a good spot to make the tournament, but it'd be awesome to have a crowd there on Wednesday.
Well, let's talk about this match because, as you mentioned, you feel like you're in a good spot, but you definitely need to finish out the season strong.
Yep. Yeah, and I think both of them are important, and I've said it the entire year. The SEC is a grind, and we were talking before we went on the air, and we finished both of these matches, and we're 9-9. When I kind of draw out kind of what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be 5 teams that are either 9-9 or 10-8. So one more win in the SEC, we would have finished tied for 4th. And just the middle of this is a grind, and Ole Miss is right in the middle of that. And they took Arkansas, who's in that top 3, to 5. We're up 2-0 a couple weeks ago, and they're playing better volleyball than the first time we played them. So spent 4 hours this morning kind of pouring through video and figuring out how we're going to beat them. So we got a pretty good game plan. I like what we have going, but I'm expecting it to be a match.
Excuse the ignorance. Why does volleyball not have a conference tournament before? Because most of the other sports do.
There's pluses and minuses to it.
Yeah.
I think volleyball is the only SEC sport that doesn't. We're going to switch over to that in 2025. And the conference has been pushing that. Ooh, I see him. I see him.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's over your right. That would have to be a sneak attack. We might have to coordinate this.
If you see it, take him out.
There's some pluses to it of not having one. A little bit of it's just tournament seedings and things along those lines. If you get upset in that tournament, sometimes it impacts things. And I think our sport looks at RPI quite a bit. So who you play matters. So if you get booted out of the tournament early and you haven't played against those teams that have better records, it hurts you a little bit. And then the wear and tear piece, just our sport isn't one where it's really great to play back to back to back. It's just the same people are out there every single time. You don't have a rotation necessarily like you do in basketball, where you can kind of play some other people early on. So there's a wear and tear piece where you don't want to grind your team down before you go into the most important phase of your year, which is the tournament. But on the other end of it, and where I'm in support of is it's a marketable thing for our sport. You see attendance growing here. You see it growing across the country. You see TV ratings. Our match against Florida was up there with a professional baseball game. And all of a sudden you have this thing at the end of the year where it means a little bit more, and you're getting the best teams in the SEC going up against each other. So it's really entertaining volleyball. And I think we get people to tune in on TV. So it's happening. There's reasons why it hasn't in the past. But excited what's coming in 2025.
What is Selection Sunday like for you guys?
Everyone on the outside in is telling us we're RPI 32. Committee doesn't skip over that. And whenever I put myself on the outside looking in at our resume, I'm like, oh, we're good. But when you're on this side of it, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. You're hoping your name gets pulled. You're wondering where you're going to go. You're wondering who you're going to play against, the path that you have. But I do feel confident that our group has put in the work throughout the entire season to have a resume that's worthy. And for me, I'm expecting to see our name up there and excited to see who it is against, and that we get to go compete in the tournament for the first time in this program's short-term history, not long-term history. There's a tradition here.
Is there something that's not clicking recently, just a tough stretch of the year? What do you think recently has been the issue?
It's a little bit tough stretch of the year. A little bit of some things need to click a little bit better. A little bit of it's just who we've been playing. We went out last week and we played, I don't know which order, another 8, 9, 10 in terms of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Arkansas, but we played 2 of the top 10 teams in the country.
Yeah.
And I actually thought played pretty well, especially in that Kentucky one in the third set, being able to take that one off of them. I thought the first set of Tennessee, we were kind of playing neck and neck, and I like the way we're playing volleyball. We just got to finish or find a way to finish sets.
Okay. Well, we're going to be watching. We're going to be rooting for you. Hopefully everybody packs Reed. Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, I hope you get this guy at some point today.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
The guy's amazing right now. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, our friends from KBTX will be here. Right now, though, we need caller number 1 for a free car wash from Aggie Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch. And I see you. Hey, hold on. Oh, man. Jedi!
Oh, no.
God. I thought I had him. God bless. Mother. Man, but I think he's dazed.
Oh yeah, no, he's dazed. He's a little slower now. You got him by the time I leave.
So you can still call Aggie Atlantic Express, or you can call 979-693-1150. We'll give the first caller a free car wash from Aggie Atlantic Express in South College Station, 979-693-1150. And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, our friends from KBTX are in studio. Daryl Bruffett, Nicole Griffith. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. How are you?
That was a somber hello.
I know both of you, actually. I thought yours
I think he's got some pent-up aggression about the Abilene Christian game.
What bothered you about that game? Let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, I was going to do part of the hello. I'm just not feeling all that Swift right now, man.
I'm not
You
either.
know, I got a little of that drainage happening. You know,
Yeah.
the temperature yesterday was like, felt like 90, and today it's like 60. And, no offense, I'd just rather be in bed. But
I would too. I would too, to
Just
be honest
being
with you.
honest.
I think I've been late to this show twice. One time, today was not my fault. Olin was supposed to pick me up. My car's in the shop. Right?
Oh.
So imagine showing up to the show, hearing what you're supposed to be saying, but somebody else saying it. We had a little bit of, you can't do that in the news industry. In radio, you can get away with it. Can you imagine showing up late for a sports hit?
I mean, I would just have to go out there, just not with my hair and makeup done, and start reading the scripts.
So
late in our world doesn't happen. And people don't understand that our world, our clock doesn't run on a minute hand, it runs on a second hand. And if you have people that are late, God, man, that is just my biggest pet peeve.
So I'm going to tell you guys a story that I think only like 9 people will care about, but you guys will love it.
And we're 2 of the 9.
Yeah. In 2005, I'm doing TV in Waco. And that's like, I think, the early stages of DVR, okay? Like early days of DVR. And I had paused the game because I was recording a spot, and then I played it from there. And I'm not dressed, no suit, no nothing. I'm just editing. And
I know exactly what just happened.
You're right. And then somebody runs in, dude, you're supposed to be on the set. I go, huh? It's 5:34. What are you talking about? No, it's not. It's 6:06 or whatever time. And I had to no scripts, no nothing. Put my suit on. And it was a disaster. And my news director says to me afterwards, he goes, "Hey, that's the best hit you've ever done. What was different?"
I was just, really relaxed. Wasn't prepped.
So don't ever use DVR and use the time that shows up on there. Yeah. So
no, I've done that. I don't want to top that story, but I have been in my office done, falling asleep, and you get that 30 seconds.
What?
Oh man, and I was dead asleep. So I walked through that sports cast.
All right. What did we think about Elijah's first game, first week, all of it?
I think it was. Do you want me to go?
Yes,
please.
Okay.
We're friends here. We don't have to be called on.
Well, I follow directions. So thinking me right here. I thought it was great. I'll break it down, but he's really one of the people that the team rallies around, and who that was supposed to be the interim head coach. We're at the Aggie game day set, our pregame show, and I'm seeing maroon pants, and I'm seeing sleeves, and you're hearing inklings of all these things are changing. Music's happening. They seem more loose, and it just seems like good energy is surrounding this team. Senior night or senior game, I guess, morning, but then the game happens, and the first possession for A&M is a pick six, and you're like, great.
Here we go again.
And they couldn't move the ball. And so I remember just thinking it was they were down 7-0 or 7-7 in the second quarter. I was just like, oh my god, have we considered that Abilene Christian's the greatest team of all time in the WAC?
We've considered it, yeah.
Maybe we should consider
just like
it.
Miami. Miami's awesome this year,
maybe
right?
Maybe we should consider it. But they eventually pulled away. They were only up by 10 at half, but then they were able to pull away in the second half. They should have won. I feel like there leaves a lot of room for concern, but just everything that was happening, the situation of the team, they got a W, and they came out of it with a W.
I would agree with what Nicole said. It was a tough week for the team. I got to thinking about it. I think it's the first time since '88 that A&M had a kind of an interim head coach serve as the coach of the game, and that was back when you had the shadow of the NCAA and Jackie Sherrill. I think it was George Woodard, and RC filled in for the TCU game, and they ended up winning 18-0. But I'm in agreement with her. It was a tough week. They got the win. I didn't see a whole lot of positive that came out of it. You punt 6 times against ACU. It's just not a good stat.
Yeah. My take of it, and maybe because I want to be an optimist after being such a pessimist the last 2
welcome.
months. Yeah, it's cool.
Turning over the leaf.
Well, here's my why. Last year against UMass, they didn't look good. And then the next week, They put out their best performance of the year. So I'm holding out a little bit for that.
I hope that happens.
You know, like you're not going to show a lot. It was a weird week, an 11 a.m. game against a team you don't really have to prepare for to beat. You did win 38-10. LSU, way better offense than Texas A&M, no doubt about it. But they were tied 14-14 with their opponent, you know, in the second quarter. Georgia State, thank you. So, like, my thing is, at the end of the game, would I have liked to have seen a much bigger victory? Absolutely. Would I have liked to have not seen a pick six? Absolutely. But that being said, you haven't given up a touchdown in 8 quarters. You know, I think it's...
Yeah, not since Ole Miss.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Aniyah Smith, all right, he spoke yesterday. I don't think he's coming back, but, like, it'd be awesome if they could find a way to keep him here. That being said, how do you guys sum up what he means to this program? Darryl, you want to take it?
Darryl loves him.
Oh, man, he's my dog, as he says. I just think Aniyah Smith is the pulse of this football team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I know he didn't play last year after he got hurt in the Arkansas game, but, you know, still him being on the sidelines, I think, provided some motivation. I don't know. With NIL, I guess there's the possibility that you could maybe keep Aniyah, whether or not he wants to stay or not. I don't know how much NFL interest is out there for him, but he is a great ambassador of Aggie football.
He's got like half a page of the game notes dedicated to him. What are they going to do?
Right.
What are they going to put there? So.
Well, I think it's all going to depend on what his NFL evaluation is and who the head coach is and how they'll use him. Because, I mean, they use him a lot now, but maybe in more creative ways that could be a part of it. Are you all leaning any particular way when it comes to this head coaching search?
I'm leaning toward it being done.
Yeah.
I mean, because, every time you click on something, you're reading something different. You go, okay.
Well, even you just saw an article that had the
Elijah Johnson being A&M's interim head coach. You can't believe all the garbage that's out there that you read. But the name that I have not seen out there really yet too much, and he's a friend of mine, Willie Fritz.
Willie Fritz.
Tulane.
Heck yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. Initially, I really like Dan Lanning. If they can get him, I'm thinking, man, score. But that's a big get.
That's a big get that I don't think they can afford.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to cost basically what you're paying for Jimbo just to get him out of his deal there. Let's go through let's talk about Jalen Henderson for a minute before we go to our observations. I don't think there was the splash week that he had the week prior. He's still really good, though. Like, how have you guys seen him progress?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard because it's only been his second game, and he was sacked 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was trying to stay in the pocket more, if that was kind of the game plan to let things, routes evolve and plays evolve. But and because especially when he takes off running, I know he's a running quarterback and he has that threat. I want to be like, you're the only one they have left. You need to be a little safer, buddy. They have Marcel, so Reeds. He's been playing a little bit, but I am like, please be careful. But I don't like. It was fine. Won the game.
Yep.
But it wasn't like the game that he had against Mississippi State, where we're like, where's this kid been this whole time?
We'll take it.
I don't know if they, if maybe Abilene Christian spied on him a little bit more. He wasn't as maybe top secret as he may have been against Mississippi State. But his numbers were better. I'm not going to blame him for the pick six. Wasn't it tipped?
Yep.
That happens. And if it's going to happen, hey, first play of the game is the best play for that to happen on. You got all day long
all game to come
recover.
back and fix it. Yeah.
After that, he didn't seem like he made a lot of mistakes. He did seem like he was running for his life at times. So that's very disappointing, along with, I mentioned earlier about 6 punts. But, 4 sacks and 6 punts against Abilene Christian. Yeah, it just didn't do a whole lot for me.
All right, let's get into it. Our big 3 takeaways. You can start us off, Nicole.
I'd say Moose with the sleeves. I know that's kind of been a narrative, but Moose over 100 yards, a touchdown. He's been kind of, hasn't had a breakout game that he deserves to have. The 12th man walk-on kickoff team was electric. I thought the game was kind of getting kind of boring towards the end.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they announced this comes on, and I texted some of my friends right away, and I was like, you guys, Kyle Field, electric right now.
Yeah.
All this stuff happened. And then they brought him back out again, but then he kicked it out. And then the last one is just them having fun. I feel like that's been not missing.
But missing.
Being able to, it's like these kids, they the uniforms are very important to them. Music, very important to them. So just seeing them play a little more loose is great. Let's see it translate
to W's, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Daryl?
I don't know if this is going to go over well, but there were quite a few. I thought Diggs had Jimbo in the game. The sleeves part, and I got that. I mean, if a guy thinks he needs to play, he needs to be as comfortable as he can be in how he plays. And if sleeves makes somebody comfortable, I'm okay with it. But when the PA guy played, I can't drive 55 during the game. But wow, man. So that was one of my things. I mean, just kind of moving forward. Maybe that makes people feel better. I got it. I mean, I get a hold of Morgan and Nicole and Tyler all the time and vent, and I feel better.
Sure, yeah.
So I got that.
With all your emojis.
Yeah. So the other thing, I was a big fan of the 12th man kickoff squad. I remember when, that was a thing back in the day. Yeah. So that was cool that they brought that back. And I mean, congratulations or kudos to Elijah for doing that and thinking of that. There was a lot of, and the other thing is Elijah. There was a lot of thought in how do I get these guys their minds off of Jimbo and the fact that the guy that recruited them is no longer here and get them into a better frame of mind. And I heard the players talk about music as they went into their team meetings, the uniforms, the sleeves as it makes you feel better or play better. So I thought all of that. So I applauded Elijah for those kind of things.
Daryl, Nicole, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll do something big for bowl week, all right?
Woo,
or
Texas Bowl. Woo.
We don't know that yet. It's not guaranteed. Come on, let's go win this game and go to a better bowl.
I want to go to the Texas
Bowl.
Bowl.
Or go to the Texas Bowl because it's easy. Go visit my parents. Go to the game. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. When we come back, Joni Taylor will be on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We'll talk to her about what's going on with them. A big victory yesterday. 45 points? Does that sound right? 45? 80 to 35. We'll get Joni next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's do this. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I do want to update the audience. It is very possible that the fly has flown out of the studio because he has not bothered me in about 8 minutes, and that is progress. I also feel like I need more resolution to this. This particular fly needs to go out, right? And it needs to be at the hands of somebody on the TexAgs staff. So either he's taking a nap, or he's trolling me, or he's coming back in a few minutes. But as of right now, he has left us alone for a while. We go check in with Luke Evangelos. Luke?
Yeah, hopefully the fly is done trying to ruin the show. Ray in Great Falls texted in, wouldn't it be great if Anias was drafted by the Texans? Imagine that offense with Tank Dell, C.J. Stroud, and Anias Smith.
That would be phenomenal. How about this scenario? We delay that a year, and Anias comes back. At some point this week, or maybe next week, I'm going to make my pitch to Anias on the air. I'm going to figure out what strategy I would do, and you guys can help us to keep him around. But look, when it's time, and I know when it's time for him, he's going to go do some great things at the next level. What else do you have, Luke?
Jarrett said with the Jamie session, y'all made adjustments on the fly.
Well said. Well said, Jared. They did. Look, here's the thing. Volleyball, as he said it a moment ago, they're in a really good spot, but they need to finish out strong, right? And these are two winnable opponents coming up. They've got to finish it against Ole Miss here, and then at Alabama. They got to close it out. Let's try to get another text message in here.
So I've actually got a text from PG Ag in King Oaks. He said that we should be calling this episode "The Fly Who Loved Me."
Lots of talk about the fly.
Yeah. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Of course I have.
You know that one episode with the fly?
Okay. I've watched every episode. Why am I forgetting? Tell me more about this episode. Was it when they were trying to cook the meth?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were trying to cook and there was like a fly messing up the process. I feel like we're living that in real life. It seems like this fly is impacting you. It's flown over to me a couple times, and whoever kills the fly is going to be remembered forever, and probably should have a plaque outside of the TexAgs office, maybe even a statue at Kyle Field for killing the fly.
I think that's a bit much, to be honest with you. I think there's about 12 people who care about this fly, and they're all in here. Although I've gotten a lot of texts from people that I don't normally hear from, like loving the content. I'm like, dude, what about the coaching search? What about like the real stuff that we work on? Like, segments, like the real, these interviews, these guests. Nah, I want more of that. No. Although I'm still going to be looking for this bad boy.
I would love to be just a fly on the wall for one of those coaching interviews.
I can always count on you. You're like the young Olin. You've got like these lines that are like, yeah, you're the young Olin, right? Similar hair, similar athletic ability. That dude can still work out. I don't take that as a shot. That's actually a compliment, my friend.
I watch him struggle to get up the stairs, but I guess if you're saying that's a compliment.
OB, I got your back. I've seen you at the gym do those curls. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk to Matt Moscona, LSU insider, get his thoughts on this upcoming matchup. That and much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hey, just heard from Matt Moscona. We need to call him. So let's call him up. If Nick, if you have his number. If not, I will send it to you on the G-Chat. I think they still call it G-Chat. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, though. We've got some info from Luke Evangelos.
Yeah, the Steelers just announced earlier today that they're firing their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. The Steelers ranked 28th in points per game, 28th in offensive yards per game, and 31st in passing yards per game. Maybe Matt Canada will have a future coaching in the CFL.
Potentially so. Why do you smile like that?
Like what?
You want a joke to like kind of like sit a certain
No,
way.
I just said something that I thought was clever, and I apologize for not being able to contain myself.
No, it was clever. You are you're second in the office to clever jokes. Like OB is definitely the league leader,
right?
But you're definitely second.
I'll take second.
Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We're joined by Matt Moscona, a good friend of the program. You can hear him obviously on ESPN and Baton Rouge, actually all over the great state of Louisiana. Matt, good morning, buddy. How are you?
David, great, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. It's good to catch up with you this weekend, and happy to have you here on the show. Let me ask you, like, from an LSU insider perspective, from a fan perspective, has this season been a letdown because of what last season was, or do you all look at it as just part of the process, losing to Florida State, obviously a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs, Alabama being the Alabama team that we're used to? Just how do you all look at the way this season has gone?
No, in totality, the season results are disappointing. Jaden Daniels' incredible season is salvaging a lot of that because it's been so much fun to watch. But on the other hand, David, you can't help but look at the season Jaden Daniels is having and think, man, if this defense was just good enough, they didn't have to be great. They just had to not be the worst LSU defense we've ever seen. And LSU beats Ole Miss and it has a great chance to beat Alabama and, probably Florida State. And you're probably talking about a playoff team because the offense is literally the number one offense in the country. So there's definitely that cloud hovering over this season where you go, it's been so much fun to watch this offense. You hope Jaden wins the Heisman, but man, it feels like they wasted a great opportunity because the defense has been so bad.
Even though they wasted a great opportunity, that win against Missouri, the comeback, did that kind of save the way this season feels?
Man, whether this is right or wrong, this is just the reality. Nobody here is going to celebrate a win over Missouri. I know that sounds trivial because they're a really good team and they're probably going to finish 10-2. But I mean, this program and the expectations around it, Dave, are at the point now where you don't celebrate 10-win seasons here. And you understand, like, you're not going to win a championship every year. It's just not realistic. But there are just greater expectations, and a regular season win that would be celebrated, go on the road and beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa, yes. Going on the road to Como and outlasting Missouri in a day where neither team could get a stop, nobody's circling that in 10 years from now. Nobody's going to talk about that game. They'll talk about Jaden Daniels. They'll talk about this offense. But there hasn't been one marquee win on this schedule this year that people will remember or will celebrate for a long time. They'll celebrate the individual performances of Jaden Daniels and these receivers.
Matt, was there any evidence that you saw not to predict this kind of year from Jaden Daniels? Obviously, this is historic what he's doing, but that he would take a huge step. Did you see signs last year? Did you see signs during spring ball, fall practice that was like, man, this guy is going to be within the elite of the elites when it comes to the quarterbacks in the entire country?
Yes, so absolutely. And I'll listen. David, we all make picks. Sometimes we get things right, we get things wrong. I did pick LSU to win the SEC because I thought this was going to be the worst quarterback year we'd seen in the SEC since 2014. I think you and I probably talked about this at media days. And I thought LSU had the best guy. Not only that, but keep in mind a year ago, for a lot of the criticism that Jaden got, what people often overlooked was your best running back was a former walk-on, and your offensive line used 6 different combinations through the first 8 games. Your line was a sieve. You had 2 true freshmen starting at tackles. You didn't really have a great running back. Jaden had to do everything last year, and he accounted for 70% of your production. So with a better offensive line, your receivers a year older, obviously more development under Mike Denbrock in this offense, And the commitment Jaden took, and Brian Kelly's talked about this a lot, that they had to give him key card access to the building because he was showing up every day during the summer at 5 a.m. to go watch film. So they just gave him access to the building. Those are the types of things that whenever a player is going into his final season of college football and he takes that step and takes it upon himself to make sure he's improving himself and everything else around him got better, it was obvious they were going to be good. Now, I didn't think he'd be setting records and, like the 3,500 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, Manziel's the only one that's done that in the history of the SEC until Jaden. I mean, he's doing things that I don't think any of us would have predicted realistically. But did I think he would take a jump? Yes, I absolutely thought that. That's why I had LSU before the season winning the SEC and going to the playoff. And it wasn't a homer take. It was just that I thought the league was going to be down and LSU's quarterback would be good enough to get him there. Where I missed David was on the defense. I just didn't see it being this bad.
So how did it get so bad? I mean, did they miss on talent? Is it scheme, a combination of things?
All of it. It's layered, okay? But when Ed Orgeron got fired, I think a lot of people may know this, they had 38 scholarship players on the roster for that bowl game against the Texas Bowl against Kansas State. So last year they went and remade the secondary with transfers, and they hit on all those guys. Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché and Jarek Bernard Converse and Mekhi Gardner, they weren't like elite players, but a lot of those guys made NFL rosters this year. Well, all of them left, and so they had to do it again. And they just missed on all those guys in the secondary. They missed on Denver Harris and Duke Chestnut, and J.K. Johnson was hurt, and Zy Alexander's a guy that was playing, and he got hurt. So, I mean, you got a whole bunch of freshmen. You missed on all the transfers, and you'll have a whole bunch of freshmen. And it's been really bad. They tried to make Harold Perkins an off-ball linebacker, and that was a big miss. And so they've had to sort of, tinker with him throughout the course of this season. It just, everything they've tried has gone wrong. They don't tackle well. They don't cover well. They don't have good run fits. I mean, there's going to be a major overhaul of this defensive staff in the offseason. It's justified because you can't be as bad as they've been, and they're bad at every level.
Am I right? Denver Harris is actually not with the program at all right now. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. He, I mean, I'm sure you all know a lot about his time there, but
yep.
That's one where they took a shot, man. They took a shot on a guy who made some poor decisions. And I think schematically he wasn't exactly a fit for what they were trying to do right away, and he didn't take well not being on the field. And so he's with the team. It's a miss. It's just a miss.
With so much talk of Jaden Daniels, does it feel like sometimes Malik Neighbors is ignored in these offensive conversations? Not that defenses are ignoring him, obviously, but just the talk, the buzz around him.
Yeah, well, nationally, yes. I think what's going to surprise a lot of people is when the draft rolls around. I mean, David, I'm sure you talked to scouts, all of those connections as well. I mean, everyone I talk to has him going in the top 20. I've heard as high as the top 10, maybe the second receiver off the board. He's a special player. I mean, he's a guy that can beat you over the top, and he's strong enough and willing to go over the middle and make tough catches. Brian Kelly talked about it this week. Malik can play all three positions, and that's the thing he had to learn this offseason to commit himself to not just being taken out of a team's game plan. Malik is great. He's just not he's not going to win the Blitnikoff because everyone knows Marvin Harrison. But he's worthy because of the season he's having this year. I mean, he's leading the nation in receiving yards, and he's right up there in receptions, and I think he's maybe one touchdown off the national lead. He's got the stats, and in any other year, if there wasn't a guy named Marvin Harrison who's had the type of career he has at Ohio State, he'd win the Blitnikoff. But Malik's special, man. He's as good a receiver as LSU's had here in the last decade. That's a mouthful considering some of the guys that are gone up to the NFL and done what they've done at the next level.
So, Matt, obviously A&M is looking for a head coach, and some of the things that others have said out there is like it's got to be a fit for A&M. Well, LSU went through that with the whole Brian Kelly experience, and there was talk, is he going to be a fit? Is he going to be a fit? Does fit matter, or is it just really about winning?
I think fit can matter. But David, this is the answer I always gave when people would ask about Brian Kelly. The winningest coach in the history of LSU athletics is Skip Bertman, who won 5 national baseball titles in 10 years. He's a Jewish guy from Miami. The winningest basketball coach ever had was Dale Brown, who's from Minot, North Dakota. The best football coach LSU's ever had here was Nick Saban, who's born in West Virginia, spent his entire career in the Midwest. Like, I don't know if you've been down here, but South Louisiana culturally is a little bit different, to say the very least. You just have to win. I mean, you can be from anywhere. I mean, Dan Mullen had nothing in common with Starkville, Mississippi. That was a guy from New Hampshire, and he's the best coach they'd ever had there. So I understand why we focus on fit and why we think that matters, but really, you can overcome it if you have a plan and you can recruit and you can win. I mean, winning overcomes all of that.
100% agree with that. I feel like if you get the culture, it's bonus points. But if you're winning, it doesn't really matter, man. Like, but it is cool when people understand what it means to be an Aggie and kind of embrace that. But at the end of the day, get the wins and people can kind of put up with a lot.
I'll be and I agree, and I think everyone understands that Texas A&M is a unique place. Now, that word's often misused and overused. I mean, unique means one. Like, there's literally only one. There's no place that has the sort of the culture that Texas A&M has. So I do understand why there's a thought to saying, hey, let's hire some, like why Jeff Traylor makes sense being from Texas, why Elko makes sense because he's been there. But you're going to tell me if Nick Saban were willing to leave and we're going to A&M, like, he wouldn't win in College Station? Of course he would. I mean, there's great coaches that know how to win wherever they are. The bigger thing, and I'll tell you this from an LSU fan's perspective, David, and I think A&M fans will appreciate this, that the concern with A&M always is that if they ever do get it right, they're trouble. Because A&M has the resources. You have the facilities and the recruiting base, and you got the fan base and the support and everything you need to win. But they just never gotten it right with the head coaching hire. And David, that was LSU for a long time. And the state of Louisiana is chock full of talent. You're the only Power 5 in a talent-rich state. You got great support. But you went from Mike Archer to Curly Holman to Jerry DiNardo, and it was just, you just could never get it right until they hired Nick. And that was the magic unlock, and it set off a quarter century of what we've seen from LSU, where they've won 3 national titles and played for a 4th and all the stuff that you know. So I know that's always why people focus on A&M, because of the potential. That's why nobody's concerned about Arkansas or Ole Miss, because it doesn't matter even if they have a great coach. The best coach they ever had there, as soon as they do well, they're going to leave because there's a ceiling. That's always the thought with A&M, is if they ever figure it out and make the right hire, they're trouble.
Were you surprised that Jimbo wasn't able to get it right? Maybe not towards the end, but whenever they initially hired him.
Yeah, I thought it was a great hire. I mean, my thought with hiring always is you minimize risk, right? If you have the resources and you can eliminate risk with your hire, then you do that. So if you're Texas A&M and you have the resources and you hire a coach that had won a national title and had been a super successful head coach, you've minimized risk. That doesn't mean it's always going to work. But, like, for example, I was very critical when LSU hired Ed Ogeron. LSU had won 2 national titles at that point and played for a 3rd in a relatively short amount of time. Like, there was no reason to rush Ed Ogeron to a podium. Now, you had the one moonshot with 2019, which was incredible, but the rest of his tenure here was marred by off-the-field issues and embarrassments. I mean, I would still accept all of that because 2019 was fantastic. Look at the Brian Kelly hire and the Ed Ogeron hire. They're polar opposites. Brian Kelly's on field the winningest active head coach in college football. I mean, LSU didn't need to take a giant risk. They hired a very proven coach and said, we're going to give you all the resources you need to win. So when I looked at it very similar, I mean, it's obviously not coincidental that it was Scott Woodward who made both hires, but yeah, I thought it would work with Jimbo there.
Talking to Matt Moscona here on TexAgs Radio. Do these players, I'm sure the fans think about last year, but do these players consider what happened last year and how A&M was a part of the reason that they weren't in that national conversation for a playoff spot? A lot still had to happen, but I don't think anybody was expecting what happened at Kyle Field a year ago.
No, I mean, that was one, obviously, where when you look at LSU and Brian Kelly trying to rebuild a program, that was a day where they got napped, where they got caught napping, and a talented team played up to its potential and and won a football game. As far as like, is there this lingering feeling from a year ago? Not really. Just this, honestly, that hasn't really been any part of the chatter here this week. I think people know the talent that's on that A&M team, and certainly last year was an illustration that A&M's capable of coming to LSU and winning on Saturday. But honestly, that's not really been the narrative here this week, talking about what happened last year.
Talking to Matt Moscona here on TexAgs Radio. So I look at some of these games that LSU played in this year. As I look at the Arkansas game was close. Obviously, Bama, we know what kind of team they are. When LSU does struggle or the games are a little tighter than expected, what's the why behind it? Is it the defense? Because as good as that offense is, some of these losses, like the offense hasn't really been incredible.
The offense has been incredible in the losses. The Alabama game, Jaden got knocked out. Didn't play the fourth quarter. They have to be flawless. Go back and look at Florida State. David, LSU put up 300 yards in the first half against Florida State. They were leading at halftime of that game. They had 2 possessions inside the 10 where they came away with no points. I mean, LSU could have been leading that game by 17 at half, but that's the problem. Like, you have to, the defense is so bad that against great teams, the offense has to be flawless. I mentioned the Florida State game. It was a 1-score game. On the last play of the third quarter, Daniels throws a deep ball to Brian Thomas that would have been a walk-in touchdown, and Brian Thomas dropped it. You would have had a tie ball game going into the fourth quarter. On the first play of the fourth quarter, Malik Neighbors slipped on an out route, and the ball got intercepted. That's what I'm talking about with the margin. Like, the offense has to be perfect because the defense is so bad. Now, the real question is A&M for Saturday, is A&M's offense good enough to take advantage of a bad defense? Because Mississippi State wasn't, Auburn wasn't, Army wasn't, but Missouri, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Alabama, they all were. So where does A&M fall in that sliding scale is the answer to Saturday.
Is there a point total that, like, obviously LSU can score 50, like that they can do that, but if A&M is in the 30s, is that an area of concern, or does A&M need to score more than that against LSU?
If A&M only gets into the 30s, they're not going to win the game. But LSU could allow 40. It's just, Dave, you're going to see it, man. It's like, I get it. A lot of people don't sit down and watch. I mean, I've watched every play of this season. LSU defensively is atrocious. It's so odd to say because it's a program that's made its calling card on defense for so many years. You'd never think you'd see it this bad, but they are that bad. For context, the totals for LSU this year, I believe, are 10-1 on the over. Like, every game goes over. Even Vegas hasn't caught up to it this year. LSU is going to score as much as they need to score, and the defense just hopes to maybe get a couple of stops a half. If you do that, you got a chance to win in a shootout. That's what happened against Arkansas. That's the stop they couldn't get against Ole Miss.
Matt, great stuff, brother. Thanks so much for your time today.
Okay. See you, David. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir. Matt Moscona on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. You can catch his work on ESPN. The name of the show is After Further Review, weekday 3 to 6, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Joni Taylor. But before we do that, we're talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. It's about the deals, the experience, and the vehicle. At the end of the day, it's all about the vehicle, right? So you want to go to a place that you can trust. You want to go to a place that's going to get you the right vehicle and at the right price. And I can tell you that you're going to have a pleasant experience when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. If you have service needs, they got complimentary pickup. If you're looking for a vehicle, check out the website to see the selection that they have. They have a really good selection of vehicles when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And if you are looking for a bigger car, tell them. They'll try to find you the right car at your price point. It's about a 15-minute drive by Caldwell, short conversation away, but you will see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. A&M women's basketball coming off an 80-35 win over Houston Christian on Friday. They head to Berkeley for Raising the Bar Invitational. We'll play Winthrop. Let's talk to the head coach, Joni Taylor, here on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. And, Joni, I got to apologize. I know you were on hold for a few minutes, so welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Doing wonderful. So how do you feel heading into this Thanksgiving tournament?
I'm excited. It's another opportunity for us to, number one, be together as a team over the holiday and to test ourselves on the road. We're going to face a Winthrop team that is athletic and does a lot of different things defensively, and then we'll have the winner of Cal and San Jose State. So we need to get our road legs under us and put together a win on the road. So I'm excited to get the opportunity to play another probably Power 5 opponent in Cal after we hopefully take care of business first on Winthrop on Friday.
How important was it to respond the way the team did after the Purdue game and just put up a lot of offensive points and great defense?
I think the Purdue game really opened our eyes in a lot of different ways, and I was really excited for that challenge because Purdue is an experienced team. They're tough, they're physical, and they do what they do. They don't there's no surprises. Like I tell our team, you don't want to be surprised offensively or defensively. I should know the shots that you take because you take them every day in practice, and you should know the shots that I take because I take them every day in practice. And so that's what Purdue does. They're just solid, and they don't beat themselves. And we were exposed last Thursday. So I told our team I'd rather know this game 3 than game 10, 11, 12. So now we have a choice to make. What are we going to do about it? And we really got after it the next 2 days in practice, and I think you saw the results of some of that last night against Houston Christian. We still had some lapses. I had to call a timeout early in the third quarter to kind of get our focus back. So we're still learning and figuring out how to win and how to be consistent for 40 minutes. But I definitely think we took some positive steps last night.
So let's talk about that timeout in particular because I believe you all went on a 25-0 run. When you're in these timeout situations, I'm sure it's a case-by-case basis, but is it, is it quiet? Is it how do you go into those timeouts?
Or it just depends on what they're about. Last night it was because we didn't start out the third quarter the right way. And as starters, I have really challenged those 5 to set the table on both ends of the floor so what the game is going to be like and to be elite and never to take possessions off. And we came out and turned it over. They came down and scored. We came back and turned it over. They came down and scored. And so we need a timeout to regroup and to make sure that we don't allow them to go on a run and start feeling good and for us to remember what it is we're trying to focus on. So that timeout was pretty intense. It was pretty heated. Some are not. It just depends on what the flow of the game is like and how our players are responding in any given moment.
Talking to Joni Taylor here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's talk a little bit about Janiyah and how she is kind of bounced back, if that's the right way to phrase it, and just her growth this season.
She's someone who wants to be really good at what she does. And so when your best player is you can coach the hardest, it makes it really easy to coach everyone else. She's someone who plays with a lot of passion. She wears her feelings on her sleeve. You're going to know exactly what she's thinking. But she's one of also our best leaders and our best teammates. She's one of the best cheerleaders that we have. And so, she's always, we're never concerned from an offensive standpoint from her. I think where she's really grown this year is understanding shot selection, taking the right shot, and not feeling like she has to shoot it every single time she touches it or make something happen. So as excited as I am about her offensive production, what I'm even more proud of is her willingness to make the extra pass and to find her teammates and get them involved.
Can you talk a little bit about playing on the road? Obviously, this tournament that we talked about at the top of the interview is going to be challenging. Last season, I believe there was 2 road victories. This is an opportunity here to do that here quickly. So just talk a little bit about the challenges of playing on the road and hopefully double, tripling, and quadrupling that this year.
Well, yeah, so that's one of the things we talked about. We honestly say that we didn't get a road win last year because the 2 wins we got were at the SEC tournament, and that's a neutral floor. And so we tell the team that we didn't have a road win last year, and that's our challenge is to, as you said, get that figured out and double, triple, quadruple that number. Number one, when you're playing on the road, everybody has pride playing on their home floor, just like we have pride playing at Reed Arena in front of our fans, in front of the 12th man. Like, you're not going to come into our home court. We have to protect our home floor. And so you're walking into that same environment on the road. And so we like to say you're 10 points down before the game starts because of the crowd, because of the pride that goes into it, sleeping in their own beds, all of the factors. And so how do we drown out the noise and understand that we've got to make sure that we are even more alert defensively
We like to say defense travels. Some nights you might not shoot the ball well, but your defense always comes with you. But you can't make a lot of mistakes. And that's in any close game, but especially when you're on the road, playing in a tough environment against a really good team.
So what's it like Thanksgiving on the road for the team and like beyond the actual basketball? I mean, can you guys enjoy a little bit of Thanksgiving on the road?
We definitely will. We like to have an activity on Thanksgiving Day where we just talk about what we're thankful for. We actually split up the holidays. So freshmen have Halloween, sophomores have Thanksgiving, our juniors have Christmas, and then our seniors have Valentine's Day. So we're together for all those holidays and in season. So we try to make sure even though we're busy, we don't want to get so caught up in the grind of what we're doing that we don't forget about life and the things that are happening. And so for our freshmen, this is their first time away from their families at Thanksgiving. So we want to make sure they have a good meal. We have some type of family environment, activity. I think we're going to possibly go to the movies this year and just sit around and talk about some traditions that we might have as family members, things that we do in our families, things that we're grateful for. But we always want to make sure that we integrate life as a part of what we're doing because we are together for all of the major holidays. We're still playing basketball or practicing.
That is Joni Taylor there on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Happy Thanksgiving. We will talk to you when you guys get back.
Thanks. Don't eat too much turkey on Thursday.
Oh, I can't help that. I'm going to eat a lot of turkey, Joni. That's what's just going to happen.
Talk to you soon.
Later. Oh, I'm sorry. Goodbye. Thank you, Joni. I just dropped a later on a coach. That's not very professional of me. I apologize. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Jordan Pugh is going to keep it real here on this program. That and much, much more is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go straight to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We're joined by Jordan Pugh as we try to keep it real here on the program. What's up, Jordan? How you doing, man? I don't hear you. That's not a good thing when I don't hear you.
Uh-oh.
There you are. You're back. Hello, sir.
Boom, there it is. You got me? Can you hear me?
I got you, man. How are you?
Well, doing good, man. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just enjoying a day. So I don't know. You probably weren't listening earlier, but we had a fly situation in the studio. The fly has not bothered me in, I'd say, probably since, about an hour. So he might be resting or he might be dead. Hopefully he's dead.
Hey, well, look, man, you probably handled that as a professional, so you knew not to bug you anymore, right?
Well,
you know what I mean?
No, I wasn't professional at all, dude. I was almost cursing on the radio. It almost wasn't a good thing. Hey,
Well, that would have been me. So I get it.
Yeah, I hate the microphone as hard as I could at one point. But let's get into the topics. 5 facts. I know you got some facts for us, buddy.
Well, overall, let's address again. So overall, I thought it was average. You know what I mean? We did what we needed to do. Got the win done. I thought the way that we played in the second half overall was better. I thought we got our rhythm back. I thought we got our feet up under us. More fine-tuned offensively. Defensively, we did what we needed to do. I was greatly pleased by the secondary play. I thought the secondary play really stepped up this week. I thought you saw the maturation process with that. But defensively, I mean, we've been good all year. We've been creating pressure all year, playing well enough to win every single game. Offensively, with Jalen Henderson, I thought he got off to a rocky start. I thought the defensive game plan for ACU was phenomenal. I thought what they did, how they mixed it up. I thought how they had our offensive line confused on the pressure packages, how they were swapping out stunning with gaps, bringing multiple people. I thought that was very good on their part, but I like the way that we adjusted offensively too. I think with Henderson, man, just what we got with him at the quarterback position, he opens up so much on that offense because there was plays that he made with his feet that kept plays alive, whether he was rushing, whether he opened up or ran to open up the pass. I thought that was big time. Muhammad with Moose. I thought Moose finally had his breakout game. What we've been talking about all year, right? Why is he not getting involved with this offense? He's one of our best playmakers, one of our most dynamic people on offense. And I thought getting him involved was huge for us. You saw kind of the spark. You saw what he could do. It breathed some life back into you. With the running back position, I think Owens kind of grew up a little bit this past week too. You saw him with his vision. He hit the holes a lot better, more decisive. He really understood what to do better, I think, in some pass blocking situations overall. I just think it was a good game. I think it was a game that was needed. I thought we played well enough, but I thought we played well with the circumstances that were presented this week. So I thought Elijah did a good job. I thought that he managed the game well. I thought that he managed the team well. And you saw that play out on Saturday.
Jordan, how do they neutralize or slow down, and I don't know if they can, but like the best offense in college football, considering this defense is really good, but they haven't been very good against the pass?
I think that the defense is going to have its best showing. I think that the way that you neutralize what they do at LSU is you got to be able to have that front seven in that pass rush. And that's the one thing that we do have, right? So when you look at, I guess, the best comp that you can use going into the LSU game is the Alabama defense. It's similar in aspect when it comes to that front. Our front seven is very similar. I told you, we have one of the best front sevens in the nation. One of the best linebackers in the nation, one of the best 4 across the board on that D-line. So I think creating that pressure, but keeping him contained within that pocket is going to be crucial. Now, our DBs are going to have to play the game of their life. That's just going to be what it is. We've been suspect all year. We've been very average, if not below average, at the DB position. And that's where things can get out of hand for us. But I think if we can create the pressure, create the chaos, keep him contained within the pocket, I think that, man, it's going to be a big surprise across the nation because of what we have on the offensive side of the football. I think that with Henderson being able to counteract what we can do defensively, keep plays and keep drives alive, I think that's the difference, and that will ultimately help us on defense.
What is it about rivalry games? And I don't know what level of tier you put LSU rivalry with A&M at, but whatever tier it's at, what is it about rivalry games that amazing things can happen? Regardless. Some people are like, maybe Auburn can beat a Bama. A&M has struggled at Baton Rouge for obvious reasons. Like, how do they? What is it about rivalry games?
You don't care about the outcome. That's why they matter. So when you look at Alabama, Auburn, back in the day, A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, whatever, the outcome doesn't matter. What I mean by that is it's a me versus you. It's a big brother versus little brother kind of mentality. All I want to do is beat you at all costs. I want to inflict as much pain as possible as all costs. And I want to do it in such a way where it's so dominant that I could really care less about the scoreboard. You're going to feel me when we play. That's why those rivalry games are different. That's why they matter. Now, I know a lot of people get confused when I talk about the outcome. The outcome does matter. You want to win the game ultimately, but it's a different mindset when you go into the game because it means something different. There's a little more chippiness. There's a little more motivation to the game, and that's what I mean by that. When I say you want to beat them down, you want to dominate, you want them to know by all means necessary that you are not better than me. And then the outcome will reflect that. That's why you can see those upsets. That's why you can have lackluster teams beat the top ranked team is because of that mentality.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. What do you think about the way A&M, the football side of things, not the game against ACU, which was kind of whatever, but just how they've handled things in the wake of Jimbo's firing?
I think that everything's been great. You know, when you look at Elijah, he's been the associate head coach anyway. So I think that he's been prepped for this type of role. But plus, the players have respect for him. Like something as simple as, when I tuned into my Instagram and I see us wearing all maroon, I was like, oh, wow. the player in me was like, okay, man, dang, I wish I could have done that. It's something as simple as that. I think he, I heard that he's listening to the guys, kind of their feedback of what they want. At the end of the day, is what we talked about last week, man. This game is about players, all right? You got to be able to get them to play for you. There's, get them excited about the upcoming week, and that also involves them. You know what I mean? I think he's done a good job of listening. I think that the transition has been seamless because he's been in the leadership role the entire season. So there's nothing new for him. The guys have the respect for him, and they know, look, man, we're trying to show out and we're trying to do something special here. I think based off what I've heard, what I've seen from the guys, there's a lot of respect in that room for Elijah. And I just think, man, that they're trying to do something special for him as well as he's taking his leadership role.
Have you narrowed your list down for which coaching candidate you want, or you got a couple guys? Because there's a lot of names out there.
No. Well, let me ask you this. What would be the top three that you know of right now? Let's play that game.
Okay.
Let's do that game. So if we had to do top three, what would that be?
Well, I change my mind every 19 seconds. Right? So today I'm really Jed Fish, Jonathan Smith vibe, right?
Yes, I agree.
I have my Mike Elko moments, right? Like, hey man, he knows these guys, he knows this area, he's done great things at Duke. Maybe the success isn't there this year, but he's playing without his quarterback. Hello, we're used to that. So there's that. I'm intrigued by the idea of Ryan Day. I don't think he'd come here because he's got what he, no. Trailer, I don't think he's going to be the guy, but I see a lot of reasons why it would work here. And, so I changed my mind a lot. Today, I'm a Jonathan Smith, Jed Fish guy.
All right. So I've been thinking about this. Okay. And, you get that question all the time. Who do you think would be the right fit? You want to know what I think the answer is?
What's that?
Anybody. I think anybody would fit. Like we said last week, you have the resources, you have everything that you need. You have the buy-in, you got the fan base, you got the recruiting, you have the recruiting region. You have everything that's necessary. It goes back to what we said last week. Who is the person that's gonna have the vision? Who's going to implement the vision? And who's going to get the right players in? And the players that we have, who's going to get them to buy in? That's really what it is. So the one thing that I've heard all week is the fit. Who is the fit? Who is the fit? The person who that's the perfect fit is the person who wins football games. It don't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter, what background they come from. If you win football games, you fit just fine at Texas A&M. Point blank, period. That's just how it works, right? But overall, man, I don't know. I'm kind of like you. I go back and forth. I'm kind of like a Jed Fish kind of guy. I like Jonathan Smith. I kind of like what he's built at Oregon State. Something in me just says Lane Kiffin, though. Don't know why. Can't explain it to you. I think Lane Kiffin is taking jabs at us because he ultimately wishes he had what we have. I think he knows that if he had the resources, the type of players that's on campus, I think he knows in his mind he would thrive. Something tells me that he's in line for this position. I have no type of backing behind that. That's just an intuition of mine because he pays too much attention to us. You don't pay that much attention to something that you don't care about. So I just think that's intriguing for me. With that Lane Kiffin. But man, I'm with you. I don't, it changes on a daily basis. I just think whoever comes in, man, who has the vision and who can implement that, man, and hold people accountable and hold them to the standard of what we're trying to do.
What would be your first order of business if you're the head coach of this particular group, considering guys wanting to go in the portal, the issues offensively, fixing maybe some of the issues defensively? What would be your first order of business?
Ooh, there's a whole lot to do. There's two things I would do first. The very first thing I would do is I would get on the phone, I would hire my strength and conditioning coach. The very first thing I would do. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, that's going to come. We have the players, we have all that. It's just fine-tuning and mixing and matching what we do. I need the culture builder. That's where the strength and conditioning coach comes in. I need that guy to be a replica of me, instill the type of intensity I need, the type of standard I need, and accountability I need on a daily basis. That's the first hire. The second thing I would do is I would have individual meetings with all the guys. And I'm asking them very specific questions because I need to know why you're here. I know that you're here to play football. That's cool. Everybody across the nation is there to play football. I need to know why. Do you really want to be in College Station? Do you really want to be at Texas A&M? Because if you don't, this may not be the fit for you. That's cool that you were highly rated coming out of high school, but let's be real. You've won nothing since you've been here. Okay? So I'm coming in with a fresh pair of eyes. I'm coming in here objectively, and I'm looking at the entire landscape from a global perspective. And I'm asking those guys, what is the reason? What's your why? Why are you here? There has to be something more than just playing ball, or like people on the outside like to say an NIL kind of bag. There has to be something else bringing you here, keeping you here, and that you're playing for, right? Those would be my two things from the initial jump. Then, of course, you get into the high school recruiting, hiring the staff, all that stuff. But those two things to me are the most important because you got to find out who your players are. And then from there, you decide if you want to keep them. Then you got to have the person who builds the culture outside of you, who's the replica of you in the building.
I like it. I like it. My first order of business, I talked about it a little bit yesterday, was call Connor Wigman, make sure he's all in, right? Right? Like keep him, whatever you got to do to keep him, and keep Elijah Robinson. But I do love the idea of your strength coach and then that funneling down. But,
people don't understand that. They don't understand the players spend the majority of their time with the strength coach. They have got to understand that. He's the disciplinarian on the team. Somebody acts up, they miss class, whatever. You're late for a meeting. That's who you go to. He's the one man that's usually leading the charge. He's usually the one who's getting the team hyped while your coaches are out recruiting. He's instilling everything that you want. That has got to be a focal point. Now, it's different from the pro game, but in the college game, that's a focal point.
Hey, let's close out with this. How important do you think this weekend is just for, like, the good vibes? Look, whoever that – and I think last week you told me you didn't think it was that important, like finishing out with – but considering it feels good right now, right? Like – A&M is looking for a coach. They're winning. Your rival's LSU. You beat them 2 times in a row, and 3 out of 4, and you do it on the road. Like, just when it comes to the good vibes, how important is this weekend?
That's such a trick question.
Okay. I don't mean it to be.
It's important, okay? I don't want to minimize the importance of winning, going on the road, knocking them off, especially in Baton Rouge. But let's be real. At the end of the day, nobody cares because of the expectation and the standard that we set. You want to go off, and I hear a lot of people say that you want to go off and you want to end the season on a win, on a high, going into the bowl game, all that good stuff. But look, man, that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to recruiting because the recruits, they pay attention to that, they see it. But at the end of the day, you've been recruiting me for a period of time, a year, 2 years. This one game is not going to make any difference in how I feel now that the season is played out. But the biggest thing that I want to see is I want to see the guys finish well. I want to see them fight hard. I want to see them win, of course. But also, I want to see the type of moves that the admin is making, especially going into this week, leading in the next week, knowing that portal window is about to open. Right now, it's about the future. We need to focus on the now. We need to be in the now, but we also need to be focused on the future as well. For the players, focus on now, everyone else focus on that future, because that's what we're building toward. That's what, to me, I think needs to be the main focus for all the fan base, and understand where we're trying to go.
Very possible if we connect next week, which I hope we do, we will know
Yep.
who the head coach is.
Yep. Man, it sounds good to me. I just want to hear what he says in the opening presser. Will the vision be laid? That's what I want to know.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, man. Same to you.
Talk to you soon.
See you next week.
Yes, sir. Jordan Pugh here on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll get some final thoughts on TexAgs Radio. Right now, we're talking about Chance McClain and Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films, right? And they can do it about a lot of topics. But, you know, I think the big winners are like Aggies telling their story, right? Like your dad, class of 76, your uncle, class of 45, telling his story. Aggies like to tell their stories. That's just the facts. Like we like sharing our story. We care about our history, and it goes beyond sports. You know, core studies, business, whatever it may be. Chance McClain is a wizard when it comes to telling stories. He's the best at it, and he can do it. If you've got some great memories throughout the years, you got a group of buddies that you do certain things every week, Chance can kind of document that and put it in a 2-hour documentary form. You'll love it. You want to talk about your family business, your family ranch, your uncle, your grandfather, whomever it may be. Chance can do it with Heritage Films. He also does the Year Flicks, which is cool to do. You know, like during the holiday break, get all your kids and have them do a Q&A with Chance, right? These are 20-minute videos with the Year Flicks. Get to know a little bit what they're into. And you may not think, you know, that'd be cool and all, but why? Well, here's the why. Watch it 5 years from now. It's like Facebook memories on steroids. And we all love when we get those pics of our kids and our stories like, oh, man, look, remember when little Cruz looked like this? We had a mohawk? Well, how about that? That's what Year Flicks can be, but with substance, with style. It's a great thing to do. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Wallow Insurance Studio. We got Ethan Jones in studio. I don't think we have a lot of time for stats. So we're going to do a bunch of them on the rewind. But Ethan, start us off.
Yeah, so this season, there's been a lot of negatives, but I want to focus on one positive I've seen over the season. Offense has improved a lot since last year. So in 2023, our stats, points per game, 34.6, 2022, 22.8, total yards, 405 in 2023 and 2022, 361. Passing yards, 259 versus 219. Completion percentage, 64% versus 57%. Yards per completion, 12.5 versus 12. Third down percentage, 43.2 versus 35.9. So much better than 2022. Also, we've now scored 30 points in 4 straight games. This is the most 30-point-plus games in a row since the Aggies scored 30-plus points in 4 straight games in 2018. Also this season, like I said, we scored 34.6 points per game, which is the most since 2018 when we scored 36 per game. Also, this average is higher than A&M's average over the entire SEC era, which is 33.7. So a pretty good offense performance, despite the negatives.
There was 2 games that stand out of not pretty offensively, right?
Yeah, the Alabama game, Tennessee game. Those were not great. But, recently, our offense has really been clicking. Bobby Petrino, he's done good. He's done good. Let's also look at some stats that preview the LSU game.
Hold those for the YouTube channel. That's a good tease.
Yeah, go to the YouTube channel so you can see some more stats.
Yeah, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Ethan, thank you very much, buddy. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Tuesday. Tomorrow on the show, I might get the Big Kahuna on the show. The Big Kahuna is by the name of Billy Lucci. We're going to try to get him on the program, get an update on everything going on, plus John Harris and the rest of the crew. That and much, much more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will see you mañana.